Here we go.
Cut the fix up with some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't be scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm Forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down. Cut the fix up with some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't be scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm Forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down.
Yo, thank you for joining us on The Fix. You're joining me, Infinite Umbra, my man Daniel McGee.
How's it going?
And we're joined here by three great guests tonight. We have Aaron. We have Aaron, you know, by the way, if you all see his name, it's displayed as AA Run. It's a joke that we all came up with on spaces and such like that, messing with my man here, our good brother from Sweden, from Switzerland. How does Bushido call it, Aaron? Sweeterland?
Sweeterland, but just don't let him know.
Don't let him know.
Because I think actually that old man believes that to this day. So I would rather just prefer it to be that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, are we live yet? No.
We're live. Yeah.
Presently.
Oh, okay. So I bet, but you know, he probably couldn't hear it anyway because I'm speaking really low. So yeah.
That'll do. We won't give him too much credit, but. We're joined here by C Money, by the way. Your name is extremely long on the screen. I just looked at it.
Is it?
It's going over to the video. Yeah, if you could just put it to C
it's
Money.
all up on the screen.
Yeah.
Look at that. I did that on purpose. Trying to get noticed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All up in the video. All up in the video.
Hey, man, you go for it.
You know what I'm saying? You can't miss it, man. You can't miss it. I'll take it out right now. Look.
Yeah. But
it's gone.
Yeah, so we're joined here with Aaron. We're joined here by C Money and Gamer MD, who we also met through Spaces and on Twitter. So
Yes, sir.
I'll introduce all of you guys individually and to be more, specific to highlight you guys better. So Aaron, since you were at the top of our list, tell us a bit about yourself, brother, and if you could tell the audience what you do and if you feel comfortable with that and everything like that.
Oh yeah, I'm probably the most transparent guy out there. So my name is Aron, as we pronounce it in Sweden. Aron Westerberg. I've been talking and writing about.
Could you
video
spell that
games
for us so we
quite
can
some
steal
time.
your information, or?
It's Aaron.
Okay.
It's VBE. Yeah. And you guys can find my stuff. I don't have the energy to pronounce our website, but it's pretty much the translation that means open worlds.
Yeah.
But in Swedish, of course. But yeah. So I've been writing and talking about video games for quite some time, and I've been producing a bunch of podcasts over the years. The first one was a frustration out of the kind of parental perspective that I wanted to create, and I managed to gather a group of developers and just players and super nerds that are parents. So we did a lot of episodes covering those things like screen time and those topics as well. But these are years back, and every podcast that I've been producing is unfortunately in Swedish. So I wouldn't recommend anybody to try and go there unless you understand Swedish, of course. My bad, but that's just how it is. And then we did some other things as well, and I've been writing for a couple of websites as well. And I do this out of passion because I do not only love the medium that we are all exploring, but I also love the creative part of breaking down a piece of art and trying to build my interpretation up. for it in written words or in verbal manner like this. So I have a very pretentious approach to these things, as you guys already know. But for the ones in the chat who hasn't really known me ahead of this, of course.
Yeah, definitely. If you all don't know, Aaron, we often used to joke with Aaron here because as meticulous as he may be in writing, he is as meticulous in how he speaks. So he'll give he will give you the long runaround to get to his point. But it's he all love to my brother here. Aaron, by the way, helped me a lot when it came to getting this show up on the go. So thank you for that, brother. But yeah, Aaron is one of a kind. He's one of a kind. We love interacting with you, brother. C Money, my
Appreciate
brother. Oh no, appreciate you. What's up, brother? So C Money, if you all didn't know, has now joined myself and Daniel on Tuesday for I almost said breakfast with Boom.
No, not that one.
The Xbox Factor now, so he's full time with us now, which I couldn't be more happy about. C Money, thanks for joining us again, brother.
Oh no, man, absolutely, bro. I love being on this show. So
Yeah.
100% glad to be here. And yeah, man, when I found out that it was gonna be that day,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, like the perfect situation. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this shit could not have happened in a better way.
It worked out just fine.
Yeah,
I put on the 80.
Yeah, man.
The A-team, baby.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it.
Primetime who?
That's it.
Right. Primetime what? You know, so
That's right. That's right.
have you
We're gonna have
recouped
to call our slots prime time now, man.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Have you and the family recouped from that 6-hour space? I see you in the chat, Doodle. Have you all recovered from that 6-hour stream that you all did this past week?
It was almost 7 hours.
I saw
10 minutes away.
Man.
Yeah. You know, it's you would think that it's like a lot, and it is a lot. I mean, it's a lot of time. Like again, like when we're doing it, like we don't like it. Just we look at the clock like, oh shit, like it's been that long. Like I'm doing timestamps throughout, and I'm like not even registering, and I'm like, man, it's been 3 hours. Man, it's been 4 hours. Like you know what I'm saying? It's like what the fuck?
Yeah.
But nah, it's just fun, man. We have a good time. You know, we talk about a lot in the show.
I appreciate how you guys. I appreciate how you guys do it. I mean, it's I said it to you before, but I like the fact that you all are a family doing this, you know, together. That's pretty dope to me.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty
Yeah,
cool. Now
it
you
is dope.
might
I
want to cut.
appreciate it.
You might want to cut down on your time doing it, but hey, that is what you know. That's my opinion. But no, you know, do what you do. But no, much love to you and the family.
Listen, we
brother.
give a lot of people chances to come in at different times. You know what I'm saying? You don't know when you're coming in. You jump in the beginning, middle, and it's all fun times, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep doing your thing. And we're finally, and last but not least, as far as our guests go, we're joined by Gamer MD, who is a physician.
What is up?
Absolutely nothing much, but we're here. He's a physician, a patient advocate, and a hardcore gamer, self-professed. So, brother, what have you been up to? And thank you for joining
us. I had
us.
to call in this guy to check on my sleep schedule tonight because my health is really going down. Yeah.
May have
Appreciate
to call
you
you in
being
some
here, Alex.
subscriptions. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's like when Infinite hit me up, I was like, hell yeah, I'll be on your show. So super excited. Appreciate you guys for the invite. I mean, you know, I play on all systems across the board. Huge gamer. I don't have any problems with Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, PC, mobile, whatever. It's like, if you got a game, I'm gonna play it. So from my standpoint, you know, it's the hobby is gaming, not, you know, any of the other mumbo jumbo that we so frequently see online. So again, thank you so much for the invite, and I'm super stoked about being here.
Oh yeah, thank you, brother, for joining us. Thank all three of you guys for being here with us tonight. So tonight in the chat, by the way, want to give love to everybody in the chat who's coming through. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. If you have not done so, please hit the subscribe button. You will get the extra. I don't want to say. I always say incentive, but because that's not the right word. But you're incentivized to hit subscribe because your name will pop up on the screen. That's the better way to say it. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. I can't shout at everybody right now because we kind of have to get through this briskly, if you will. So we're gonna forego the news roundup to start off, but we'll get to it after the fact because Aaron here is really, really early in the morning for him and he has to get some sleep. So, but Danny, my co-host, my illustrious co-host, what have you been up to, brother? And how are you doing?
Honestly, I haven't done a ton this week. I played through the last case of Benedict Fox. I've put that off for a long time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty
dope.
fun. It's got problems. Like it's very clearly got a lot of issues from like I assume it's made by a smaller team. It's got a lot of like sort of jank, and that last boss fight really comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like they're expecting you to play with mechanics that just do not exist anywhere else in the game, and it's like
Nice.
it's rough.
That's fun.
Like they're asking you, like you're playing I don't know, like Castlevania, and then at the last boss fight it turns into like Hollow Knight or something. And you're like,
What?
oh no.
Why?
Oh,
There's no
no.
reason for that.
Yeah, because they're like, they add a mechanic where you can like parry specific projectiles and then throw them back, but you have to like use a different power to throw it back at the guy, and you have to do that to break a shield. So it's like 100% mandatory, but then it's like never a thing anywhere else in the game. But literally, other than that last boss fight, I had a lot of fun. It was really good. I spent the majority of this last week because I was on PTO. I took time off work, just hanging out and writing for my DCU rewrite, which has been a lot of fun, and setting up my brand new computer. This is my first podcast on the brand new computer. It's a real hoss. Hopefully, it can do things well.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
Danny.
I mean,
Danny,
As you would hope.
it's the glow
Yeah.
up. Say, so I'm hearing an echo again right now. I'm not sure what's causing
Oh,
it.
sorry.
But I was gonna say, yeah, Danny had the glow up on the PC side of things. That's good.
Yeah, I still probably won't play a ton of games on it. Like I did it mostly just to have a computer that could edit and do video craft stuff like a lot better. But it's nice to have. I think just because it's more capable, I'll probably end up playing more games on PC just as it's like a side effect. But it was a very necessary upgrade.
Okay, well, that's good, man. You came up. So I just want to test
Man,
again.
I'm curious about a thing though.
I'm
Yeah.
curious
go ahead.
about the echo. That's what I want to know, where the echo is coming from. But yeah, so what were you
I
curious
don't hear
about?
an echo. Is it me?
No,
I think wasn't it Danny that
might
had
have
something
been.
in the background?
I
You
hope
said
not.
something like that, right? Okay, maybe not. My bad.
but what were you
Either
curious
way.
about, Aaron?
I'm curious about the last case of Benedict Fox. How
Oh yeah.
did you manage to pull off all the achievements?
No, I did not 100% it.
Okay.
There were
Okay.
a couple where it was like collect all of these collectibles or do all of this stuff, and the game it isn't like super long, but because of how like janky it is, there were certain aspects of it that I really hated. But most of those things were relegated to side content. Like there's this one like enemy type called the Inquisitor, and there's 3 of them that you can track down and fight. And they are just not fun to fight because the platforming and the combat in it is really just not built for a boss fight of that type.
The platforming is
Um,
pretty poor from what I played. I didn't really care
Yeah,
for
it's
it.
not good. It that's my biggest complaint is it doesn't play super well. The aesthetic is great and I love the music and the ideas, but it just didn't come together very well, I don't think, at the end of the day, in terms of actually mechanically making the game like feel good. And a lot of that comes into play in the side content where they're expecting you to do things that are above and beyond what the rest of the game asks you to do, and it just becomes almost untenable. Like you just can't do it.
Yeah, from what I played, I
say that the
largely
game-
agree.
yeah.
From what I
Yeah.
played,
Would you say that the game played a lot with the inventory as well and puzzle mechanics and detective
Yeah.
work going on? Yeah.
The puzzles are okay. I will say they don't do a great job of like signposting you to where you're supposed to go on the map when it's like, hey, you have a quest to go do this thing. But like, where is that thing? I have no idea. The puzzles, I think, could have used a hint system. I ended up really slamming my head against a couple of them before I figured out like how they worked, because there were mechanics that were involved in certain puzzles that they just do not tell you about whatsoever. And then they're like, "I'll figure it out, dude." And fortunately, I had a friend, and I just texted him. I was like, "How do I do this? Like, what's happening here?" And he's like, "Oh, the key you got. Like, there's this machine you get where you can put a key into it, and then you can change the number value that key has. And then there's different sections where there's like math problems, and it'll be like this key plus this key plus this key equals this number. And so you have to put in the base keys that you have that are like 10, 100, 1 or whatever, and then change the value of the last key to equal the final number. But you don't know that you can do that because the game just doesn't tell you. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like they don't do a great job of just like telling you
Yeah.
how to do that.
It's got
or
it's
anything,
got
really.
improvements to make for sure. If they make a sequel, I would
Yeah,
say.
100%.
And it's to me like
I don't know if I would
if-
have the ability to do it.
well, maybe
too
not.
much.
But I would say like
I mean,
if I had to go by Metroidvania style games, because it's a Metroidvania at
Mm.
heart, is one of the weaker ones I've played. I can
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, and I'm
Would
not
you say that
generally a
the-
big fan of that genre. But it was like all right. Like I didn't hate my time.
So it's not like
I'm
on Ori
curious
level
because-
though.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, nowhere
No,
near.
absolutely
Okay,
not.
yeah, no.
For me, the
See,
goats
Ori's-
of
Ori's amazing.
Metroidvania is
Yeah,
like
Ori's a
Hollow Knight,
masterpiece.
Ori, and God, what's the other one? I'm forgetting it right now. I was gonna say Cuphead, but that's not a
Metroidvania?
Metroidvania at all. Yeah, I
Uh,
guess Metroid.
One of them that I think is a really great Metroidvania is Guacamelee. That's a really good one.
Oh yeah, I like Guac. I didn't play the second
Oh,
one, but I
that's
like the
a fun
first one.
one.
Yeah, I love them both, but I think part one was better. But yeah,
One thing I know about, I've not played the game myself, but I do know I've seen the start menus and stuff like that, and I know that they have accessibility options that will not pull back from you getting all achievements and stuff like that. But if you want, you can specifically tune. I'm not sure if you knew this, but you can specifically tune like, do I like combat in games? Yes or no? Like easy combat, you can slide that all the way down to easy. Or do I enjoy puzzles?
Yeah.
Like, no, I can slide that down to easy puzzles with more hints and stuff like that. Did you find out about that just now, or maybe?
I saw it at the beginning, like when you're
Yeah,
first setting
yeah.
it up, they put you through it, and then I
Yeah.
didn't remember it when I was running into troubles. I guess like I could have gone
No,
and
I
bumped it
gotcha,
down and
yeah.
just like didn't. But to be fair, like I didn't leave any of it at like beat my ass difficulty. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like, yeah, make this a Dark Souls. Like I think I leave.
yeah.
Typically, I put games on normal because I assume that that's what the dev like designed it for.
Exactly. Yeah.
in most cases,
unless it's a game
yeah.
that I've played before and I want to ramp it up or something, or if I'm, getting my ass beat.
In most cases, that
Um,
is the truth. I think Halo is like the only game where they say they want you to play on heroic. Typically, that's the
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but it tells you that in the description too.
It does.
So.
True. That's true. But yeah,
I
so
actually have an Easter egg to share regarding the last case of Benedict.
oh,
Fox.
you know what? I forgot about that, Aaron. You covered that game pretty well, right? Because you
Oh.
spoke with the developers behind it, didn't you?
Yeah, Bartek, the lead director, was on our our how do you say it, New Year's episode. Which
How do you
I've
say
had-
it in
I
your?
have a
How do you say it
tradition.
in Sweden? Because I heard you about to say it. What were you? How do you say that?
Nyårs.
Nyårs.
Nyår. Yeah, nyårsafton.
See, I
So New
always
Year's Eve.
I always get
nyårsafton,
at Aaron
yeah.
because of that, because I always tell him that the Swedish translation is like always 10 times longer than how you say it in English. We like, oh, the New Year's, you like the
That's why he
Jogerschniggerfreiben.
talks so long.
Yeah,
That's why he's
exactly.
there forever.
Listen.
Exactly.
But I love the
Listen.
Swedish accent. It's got that cool like sort of like up down thing going on. Like
Yeah,
it's almost
yeah.
like it's kind
The man acted like
Kinda
I'm from
melodic.
Germany
I really- I like
and
it.
ate some Schneegerfreigel.
See?
Whoa,
See?
careful with that.
let's go get some Schniegelflagger down at Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Hey man. No, but
It's like all these elves.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean, during that episode, we talked a lot about, of course, the development behind the game, because the games wasn't even out yet. So we had to talk. Yeah. Anyway, that episode is actually fully in English for anybody that wants to listen to it. But one thing that we spoke about was when you handle sensitive topics like suicide and mental illness and stuff like that. Sometimes developers want to give the player a kind of warning before, like, we are tackling certain sensitive objects or topics in this game, but they felt like they didn't want to spoil anything by telling the player early on like what kind of sensitive objects it was. So I literally just thought out loud, like, so why don't you just put in like a button prompt there so the player can see, like, so you want to see what kind of sensitive topics we will tackle in the game, press X for spoilers. And they actually went with my tip and implemented that in the final game. So
Nice.
yeah, I guess
Nice.
I'm a game dev now. There you
Way to
go.
go.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That's it.
Low key. I'm gonna
They
have
put
to-
your name in the credits?
Nah, actually, I don't know. Actually, I don't think so. I hope not, because
They
that was
robbed
just
you.
like an open conversation. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have been like, yo, I need a credit for that right there. I'm a dev now.
Oh yeah, no. But for real, and to your point though, I think a lot of things that I'm hearing about that game, I'm still yet to play it. I really want to play it, because of reasons. But yeah, like they are a bunch of art artists in that
Yeah.
studio. So it is very clear that they have certain strengths, and maybe obviously also that they could have used talent within other areas as well.
Yeah, the
I'm
aesthetic
far as
and
you
just
told
the
me,
vision of
yeah.
that game are
I'm actually a game developer.
really good.
Little
sorry,
known
go ahead.
There you go.
fact. Little known fact. I was a producer on a game called Dreamscaper that is on Xbox.
Ooh.
Nice. I didn't know that actually.
Yeah,
Wait,
so I've
yeah.
got
What?
one production credit.
Very nice. Does it show your
Oh,
name in the game and
snap.
everything
There you
too?
go.
Or?
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, I don't know if it's still on Game Pass. It was on Game Pass, and if you went to the credits, you could just pull it up, and it's got
Yeah.
Alexander
Nice.
Tyler written right there.
Very nice.
So.
Oh,
Did it cost a lot to be like a producer, or you don't have to tell us the price or anything? Just
No, I mean, obviously being involved with the production of a game, I mean, you're putting money into it for sure as a producer. But no, I mean, it was reasonable. At least, like from my perspective, it was reasonable.
all right. That's dope, man.
It was a like the mains on there was only there was 3 game designers, 1 music person, and then me as a producer. So it was a very, very small team.
That's cool. Yeah, that's pretty dope. I would love to get into it somehow, man. I think most of us would actually. Like I would,
for sure.
I would love to do voice acting, for instance. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
You got the
That'd be
voice,
That's
100%. I co-sign on that.
Thank you. Hey, so
A man full of surprises. I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. We always find out something new about everybody, and that's the cool thing. But I do want to transition to us talking about Gamescom here. So I got Aaron's captures going on right here now, really crystal clear capture. By the way, how did you get such a high aim and steadiness? Are you using some type of equipment, or what's going on here?
No,
or are you a giant?
I work out.
I was thinking that too. I was like, you
No,
just
I'm just really-
towering over everybody.
Maybe he has Dan. Maybe he has Dan with him.
I'm simply built different.
How you say in Swedish is Gullsmugersbeiven.
Yeah. So we
Built-
eat a
he's
lot
built
of
different, that's what that means.
Snuggerflagen. So early in the mornings we go out and pick 4 or 5 Snuggerflagen. So I guess that's it. And they contain a lot of
Those grow on
proteins
trees,
as well.
No,
No, actually, you have to punch a wall through a mountain to get them out of the ground. So we do that for breakfast. Yeah.
No, that fits. That explains why you're so strong. Yeah.
Breakfast of
So
Champions.
the thing, a lot of the footage that you're seeing right now is mainly from the trade and media visitors areas. So these booths right now
Yeah.
is from the areas that are closed off from the consumers.
Was that a Ubisoft branded Pari?
Yeah. They got a small
Basically,
coffee
this
shop.
is the area
Look
where
at
the
it.
plebes aren't welcome. I
Right.
understand.
Yeah,
Right.
That fits.
Did you sneak in some Starfield footage in here that they told us not to film? Or?
Mhm.
Nah,
Aaron.
nah.
I
Yeah,
expected
yeah.
more of you.
I would
Yeah.
never.
I really thought somebody was gonna go in there with one of those ties that have a little camera in it, or
Yeah.
like a pen in their front pocket, but there's a
Right.
camera on top.
On some
Oh, man.
espionage. Yeah. Have us
Yeah, I'm
some
genuinely
potato
surprised we
looking
haven't had
footage.
leaked footage.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
But
too.
I don't think that and the things that you're seeing now is more of the merch halls. Like there are 2 big halls only with merch, which is of course
Hell
where it smells the most, I would say.
Oof.
Just because of the candy as well as the shirts and the everybody's
Now
it's-
that you
it's-
say
it's a sweaty
smells,
place.
smells what? Good or bad?
Oh,
No, it
definitely
smells Schniegelfrauens. Just like the ones. Yeah, everybody ate them in the
Like
morning,
suspect?
probably. Yeah.
Oh,
that as well.
there's a special food.
The
over
aromas
there
of the
that has a
food and the
certain
aromas
smell.
of the screen printed shirts and the aromas of all the plastics and dyes and probably some
it's-
people
yeah.
too.
You've
Yeah, it's gotta be body
Got
odor.
that.
a smooth. Oh, look at Michael
Hey man,
on the
how,
lean.
how did you miss that though? You've been hit by a Schniegelfrauen.
A Schniegelfeilen.
It's
Okay.
starting to sound like a slur.
Yeah, that was sounded
Yeah.
a little
Yeah,
bit
I
more
know.
German. Sounded a little bit more German than I
Like
was.
something
aiming
we
for.
shouldn't be saying.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I don't feel like I should say that one actually.
Yeah, no, these are dope, man. I was looking at this earlier as I skimmed through this, and how much? Because I see the price tag is like 5 something And I don't know how much it would be over there, francs or something. I don't know what they call it.
No,
But
but no,
Euros.
yeah,
What
but
is
these
that?
are
Euros.
Euros.
So
Okay.
this is pretty much equal dollar, maybe a little bit more, but you know,
Okay.
you can translate it into dollars pretty much.
Okay, so it's not that big of a difference. Okay, I see.
No,
That
not
one,
the euro right now.
that one with Johnny Silverhand looks dope.
Yeah, that one looks really cool.
Yeah, I was like, look
That's
at old
wild.
Keanu, and I saw the Batman
I actually
mask.
have that one.
Do you?
T1000.
Nice. That's
Not
dope.
So
the
king
yeah,
about
I've got
all
the
these.
Johnny yeah, that character, that LCD screen, you like bolt it in there and everything like that. And it's
Yeah.
kind of got like this running loop. It's actually really, really cool.
That's dope, man.
That shit is so dope.
And that character isn't
Oh
he
my
from
God, I would love that.
what's the name of that animated movie show that came out? League of Legends tied to it.
Arcane.
Arcane Studios. Yeah, Arcane. That's it. With
Yeah,
League
that's
of Legends.
Echo.
Right,
think.
right. That's it. Catwoman, Batman, a liquor back there. Man, there's some good footage, man. So, Aaron, let me ask you, what was your experience there? Did you get a chance to meet any of the people behind the scenes, like I don't know, the Aaron Greenbergs, did you matter of
we're
fact, did you
talking
meet
Xbox people?
anybody? Did you meet
Anybody?
Did you
Yeah,
meet
yeah.
the lady who plays Asinua? I forgot her name right now.
Oh no, yeah.
Because she was out there,
No.
I saw a few
Yeah.
of our other brothers like Wandering Dutch and Boxenberger. They had a chance to meet her and get a photo op with her and everything like that. A photo rather with her. You didn't get a chance to meet anybody like that, or?
No, so here's the thing. Like today's Thursday, and Gamescom started Wednesday, so yesterday, and yesterday I had meetings from 10 o'clock in the 9 o'clock in the morning up until 6 o'clock p.m.
Oh.
And so pretty much just back to back. So I've been today and yesterday. I've been pretty much just only in the trade visitors and media area, going in between meetings, and trying out games and just talking to developers about these games, of course, because I'm not only here for our podcast and the blog, but also a magazine with a demographic targeted towards kids. So I'm trying to do a big coverage for that magazine because they haven't covered Gamescom before,
Right.
and it's a cool thing to kind of tell the kids about, like the world's biggest gaming convention and stuff like that. So we're trying to do something special there.
Yeah,
But-
that's pretty dope, man.
So the only thing I managed to pull off was so Xbox invited some media and I guess content creators early
to
on
see-
Wednesday morning before they
Yeah.
open it up, and so when we got there, it was pretty much just like for us to be able to walk around their booth and play games and stuff like that before they open it up for the public and early visitors at Wednesday afternoon. So and then of course they also did that screening for Starfield where they show a kind of summary. I've not watched it. I decided not to because I'm still. So I'm probably going to review that game. So I'm trying to get
wanna
as
go
much
in
media
fresh.
blackout. Yeah, I'm trying to get as much media blackout as possible. But I kind of asked the Bethesda PR people, like, what is actually going on there? Like, do I really need to watch this? Oh, it's a
Was that a-
summary of.
Was
the
that a little
things that is
Master
going
Chief
on.
that walked by? I just saw.
It could be.
It looked
Could
like
be.
a little Master Chief. Yeah. Because
I have a little bit of delay, so I'm not sure which one of the
wa-
clips you're seeing, but yeah.
yeah, he walked
No,
to the
so they
left.
did that invite.
Oh, there he goes.
You
I just saw the little
yeah.
Master Chief now.
Yeah, I just
yeah,
saw
you're
it.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
Little
knows
Master
what's
Chief.
up.
All right, there we go. One kid
Yeah,
got
I
it
saw him
right.
now as well.
Everybody else
There you
failed.
go.
But no,
Everybody else
but-
spells
so,
hard.
and
Yeah.
they invite, and of course Spencer and Greenberg and a lot of guys from that team, and I guess Todd Howard. I think one of the things that because the PR rep for Xbox pretty much said, well, you should go in and look at the showing, and I was like, no. No, thank you, but no. But you should, and I immediately understood why, because just minutes after that, when I stood outside and talked to an indie developer from Sweden who had their game showcased in one of the booths at Xbox booth, everybody, you heard everybody scream from inside the theater, and you just realized that, of course, the fans, got to see probably Spencer and probably Greenberg and I would guess, I wouldn't know, but I would guess Todd Howard as well, being there, just presenting that first screening for the media and the content creators.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but I haven't really been there. So tomorrow, Friday, I have a new set of appointments back to back all the way to the evening, and then I'm thinking Saturday and Sunday I will be able to just maybe breathe out and do short visits just on the consumer floor. Before I have to sit down and write this big thing for the magazines.
So just to clarify,
yeah.
were you at all a part of the ONL with Jeff Keighley? Did you get a chance to? You didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I sat front row.
So I want to ask then, and this is all of us now because I'm going to transition to this topic. So with the guy that jumped up on the stage, or guys rather, it was two guys that did it.
Yeah.
What were you guys' reactions to that? Did you all just see them run out there? Like, what was the situation? How was that handled to you?
When you're sitting front row, it's 5 to translate this into yards or whatever you want to call it, feet.
Yeah.
Miles, like you're 5 to 6 meters away from the stairs that goes up to the stage. So it's anybody could have easily just walked up there, no problem at all. So what happened was that Keighley was, of course, breaking embargo and talking about Starfield, and like, I can't say that much, but it's a great experience. You know how I hate when people break embargoes, but
He's
whatever.
being vague,
it was, but whatever. And when he did that, they jumped up, and I thought at first, this is a bad show. Stop! Don't try to play me like this. Like, oh, here comes the Bethesda embargo police. Like, oh shit. That was what I thought at first, because it was so random that these two guys would just jump up, and they both felt like they had black shirts on and stuff like that. So, but immediately some guards realized that they messed up because they did not expect that to happen. And what happened was that one of the guys got carried away from the stage, and the other one just like pulled away with the help from a couple of guards. And it's a stupid thing. It's a stupid thing because
I think Jeff Keighley should have just dropped him with an elbow and been like, "Get off my stage!"
Right.
You imagine if you just like fly kicked him or some shit? Like,
no, I'm just telling you, he's got the mic, and all of a sudden you see that elbow just swing out and like knock the guy's jaw 90 degrees off his face, and all of a sudden you're like, "You down for the count now, huh? Don't interrupt my show again, fool!"
Right. Did Bill Clinton like that too?
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, but at least it wasn't that kid. That kid is man. Oh my god, what is up with all these weirdos, bro?
I don't know. And why did they keep mentioning Bill Clinton? What's going on? Like this
I don't
guy
know.
mentioned him, and the other guy did too.
It's a
I didn't hear this
conspiracy
guy
mumbo
say
jumbo, dude.
Clinton.
Yeah,
think
he
about
said
it, right?
he said
Like,
Bill Clinton, Grand Theft Auto. We want to play Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah,
He said.
all I heard was Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah.
These are the same kids that literally grew up on social media, so they all have brain cancer. It's horrible. You know what I'm saying?
It feels
like
it really does.
they never had an existence outside of the pull of social media like the rest of us did. So like there was a time that none of us had there was no internet. Like you were outside playing and you were doing all this other stuff, and all of a sudden it's like, literally somebody who's been brainwashed since they were a baby with a tablet in front of them is like, I mean, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
that's
I
most
agree.
kids
Like,
coming
it's-
up
it's
now,
sickening.
so we're screwed.
Yeah.
It's all over.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that clip that guy, like, this is not his first time? He did it on some like other show.
Yeah.
Oh
in
yeah.
Europe.
Sure did. I saw that.
And he
been
just
popping up.
randomly goes to shows and does this shit. Like, what's wrong with you, man?
That dude is a
He
serial.
just really wants Grand Theft Auto 6, I guess.
Yeah, he's a serial.
Yeah, right?
Serial. I don't know what to call him.
Idiot.
Idiot. Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, that's a
So-
good word.
but what-
Serial crasher.
What do you guys whole thought about it? Like, do you think, like, clearly Keighley needs to improve his security around the stage because it
I'm
happened now
shocked
twice
But
now.
it's
But
happened.
I think that is something that has to be cleared up as well. This is not Keighley's show.
Oh,
Keighley is the
he's not hosting
like
it, huh?
he's
The MC.
he is the MC. He
Right.
is the brand. Like he pulls a lot of weight, of course, to the show.
Right.
He certainly does, because it becomes a part of his stable of partners, throughout the year and his campaigns. But as you might remember, you also see another co-host each year on these shows, because there's a lot of politics behind the Gamescom opening night live as well. They're using that not only for the global stage but also for the local stage, and they're doing these for the environment initiatives and stuff like that. So like the whole city of Cologne stands behind Gamescom each year, and it is one of their biggest, tourist attractions, of course, each year. So the Gamescom opening night live is not like that's not Keighley's rodeo, like in comparison with Summer Games Fest showcase or the Game Awards showcase. Like it's completely under his direction. So I would say also like this of course falls on the blame of the security at Kölnmesse, the halls, and the organization behind Gamescom, even maybe more so than Keighley himself. But it's
So
super
they have to
unfortunate.
keep Keighley safe because he's just a guest.
Yeah. I mean, I would call it like that, and I don't know this, but I know the organizations behind it, like in how they work. I've learned this much for my 2 years here.
Yeah, that's my thinking too. Is like C Money just said, they have to keep him safe because these dudes could have had anything on him and messed him up there. There was 2 of them as well. So
What's crazy is how good marketing works, though.
Yeah.
Right, because literally, had you not just said this, Aaron, I would have had to think about the fact that this is not actually his show. Like it really just feels like it's just another one of his shows that he does. He just does this show for them. Let's see, this is like a PlayStation joint right here.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, when third parties go onto their show and everybody thinks they're exclusive because they're on their show.
Fair point.
That's wild.
That actually is a fair
Completely
point.
forgot it's not his show.
Yeah. So I see they hit the Squidward thing. Squidward, whatever Squid Games.
Game.
I almost
Yeah,
said
it's
Squidward.
Netflix that is there. Yeah.
So that wasn't about a sequel to it or something, or what was it about?
It's just Netflix branding their IPs, and getting attention in different ways for their booth. Like they had a big presence as well.
I got excited for a second, but okay, never mind.
Can
Hey,
I
okay.
ask
I
just,
think it
like,
was announced.
generally-
Wasn't it announced? I thought it was announced when it's coming, or that it is coming at
I'm
some
not
point.
sure. Was it?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
Pretty
But
sure.
what were you gonna say, Danny?
Can I ask just generally, like, what did y'all think of opening night live as a showcase? Because I thought it was pretty like
Mediocre.
not bad. It was just like, I don't know. To be fair, he did sort of bury it before it started. Where like
That's
a
the
week
real
before he
problem
was
with
like,
it.
yeah, he keeps
Literally
burying
the
his own
problem.
shows. But like a week before, he was like, don't expect any new big announcements. Don't expect anything like that. And so like I knew going in, it wasn't going to be a showcase that like made a difference or like did anything super cool. I wouldn't say that I hated it, but definitely like I think it started really strong with like Starfield coming out and then Pete Hines, and then we rolled straight into like Age of Empires 4 coming to console finally. Like that's cool. The fact that shadow dropped, and I can't really think of anything else that was shown there that I was like cool. You know what I mean? Like
Crimson
everything else is
Desert,
just kind of
wow.
like, yep, there are games here. Oh sure, but I don't even know if that's gonna be like, I don't trust that.
Yeah, so
Really?
that's a
Trust
good
that
question.
It looks
of that.
so good, bro.
I'll ask this
It does.
to start
That's why I
off
don't
with.
trust it.
So right here is Mortal Kombat playing, and I'm going to play all the just let it play. It's playing all the trailers. So for what was shown, let me go through a list of everything that was shown, or better yet, first before I do all that, I'll ask you all individually what do you think was like the highlight of the show for you? If you had to name a top game for you all, what would you say that you saw?
For me, it's
I'd
just
say
the
Crimson
live action
Desert for me.
Starfield. Yeah.
Crimson
I don't
Desert.
know. Alan Wake 2 was pretty much up there.
True, that too.
Which one?
No, I
Which
think-
one did you say?
Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake 2. Yeah, you know what? Alan Wake 2. I mean, they look good. I think like the reason I didn't say Starfield is because like Starfield, I'm already like through the roof hype for that. So that was just another. That was just a cherry on top, right? So
I agree.
that I already knew. And then Alan Wake 2, again, I'm kind of in that same boat where it's like I'm already all in on Alan Wake. Like, I mean, obviously, gonna have to wait a little while for Starfield, but I'm definitely can't wait to play that. But like when I know we saw Crimson Desert a few years ago. Like
Yeah, we've seen it
as
a
I
couple
was
times.
watching that, and like Doodle was watching it with me, and man, and we're like standing there, and it's like, wow, like they are going hard on like everything in this game. It's like, man, and like the graphics are
Yeah.
top notch. There's so
The
much that can be
reason-
done. I was like, oh, that's
The
dope.
reason I say I don't trust it is because this is the same team as Black Desert, and Black Desert is an MMO, so it's a little bit more complicated. But I remember I was talking on a podcast like this about like how Black Desert looked great and how excited I was, like how much I wanted to play it, but no, I never would because it was like super long. And then basically the entire chat and a couple of people on the panel were like, "Hey, actually, Black Desert runs really bad." and so I don't know necessarily that I trust Crimson Desert to do well.
Well,
Oh, so it could be like just
there's
poorly
that other part of
optimized.
all this.
Yeah.
Like Crimson Desert, like, okay, so what they're showing looks amazing until
Yeah,
I
for
get
sure.
my hands on it and actually get to play it, because they did the same thing, like, with their previous title, where it's like you're looking at it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is like
Yeah.
amazing, and then all of a sudden you play the game and you're like, ugh, this is not what it.
Oh no.
Well, that would
So
suck.
I the whole entire truth and advertising component has me a little bit concerned. So it is not a pre-order. I mean, it's not something that I'm trying to like, oh, I'm gonna race to play that, especially with the huge volume of like RPG games that are multi-hundred hours a piece, plus all the fighting games, plus all the other stuff that is coming, and then again into the beginning of 2024. So I'm at the point now where I'm just kind of like, I'm only going to play the best of the best. And then if I have time, I'll kind of start rummaging around in the other stuff. But we've got so much. It's like when you go to a buffet, right? Give me the prime rib. I don't care about the, corn on the cob. Give me the prime rib. That's what I'm here for. And I feel like we got so many options that you really have to streamline your strategy of how you're going to get to that all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yeah, that's a fair way to look
I mean,
at it.
I feel that. I think and when we're looking at something like this, though, it's like we're just talking about going to the buffet. We didn't actually go yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm
Yeah,
not looking
fair.
at it like I have to, I'm gonna eat this meal. I'm looking at it like, oh snap, they're gonna have that at the buffet. I'm down to go
Yeah.
check it out and see if it looks tasty when I get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
definitely is, in this context, I'm looking at it, I'm like, that looks impressive, which obviously
Yeah.
every game show we watch, that's all we're looking at, right? Like it's only how it looks, right? Nobody's touching any of these games. So we could look at Alan Wake and think it's dope and then grab the remote and be like, yo, why does this control like shit, right?
Yeah,
Or
Yeah,
crap,
that is
sorry.
true.
yeah.
You know
That's
what I'm
fair.
saying? So we don't know any of them, right? So I mean, right
Yeah.
now it's just what piques our interest, what looks like developers are trying new things or pushing. And when I see a game like that, I might never play that game, right? I saw Black Desert before and I was like, oh man, that looks good, and I never played that one either.
Yeah,
But
same.
as far as like the show is concerned, giving me a wow factor, something I'm like, oh snap, damn, that looks crazy. Like that's where Crimson Desert comes in for me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Hey,
with you
man.
all on
I was
Crimson
about to
Desert
say,
and that
didn't you just
Go ahead.
say, oh snap?
Oh,
Man, what a
snap.
segue
Snap.
though.
oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say with Crimson Desert, I do get what you all are saying though, because it's much like that game they showed at PlayStation Showcase that we come to find out it was only 2 developers actually working on it, and that wasn't actual gameplay. I forget the name of it, but a lot of those are shady. And when you see all of that action like that, if you looked at some of the gameplay, you could see like the directional buttons, press up during this or press this button. Some of it looked like a lot of QTE. It wasn't actually you doing the action itself, it looked like. So I'm wondering how much of it is actually us doing it versus, QTEs and things like that, because a lot of it looks very cinematic. But I will say, if they can pull it off, man, what a game that will be, possibly, right? I don't know how
Right.
to.
I mean, that's the hope for all these games, right? Like every time we see a game, we're like hoping that they could pull it off, right?
Yeah.
Every single one of them, was a fighting game or a shooting game, doesn't make a difference.
And that one
Right,
though,
we're-
but
we're
with Crimson
checking out.
Desert though, like you'll notice it had like different elements. It had something of Zelda, it had something of
yeah.
Assassin's
There was a lot
Creed.
going on with that.
Yep.
game.
Yeah, it was a lot of different
So much
genre
going
type or blends in there. So I'm wondering how they're going to pull that off. So I'm weary of it too.
I was
will be
pumped to
honest.
see him climb that tree. Did you see him climb the tree? I was like, yo, he climbed that tree like a boss. Like,
Yeah.
that was some high quality
Yeah.
climbing of that tree. You know
And he
what I'm saying?
climbed that enemy too. That enemy stone thing he climbed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
There was a lot of
And
destruction.
I love that
going
little
on in the
front
background.
kick
A lot
he
of
kept doing to
destruction, yeah.
people. Yeah, the destruction. Ooh, that was fire. I mean, again, like as much as like obviously, none of this stuff is that we know is going to come out great or not. But like, it's just the excitement, right? Like when they showed that one on PlayStation, it had its moment. Like I was like, oh damn, that looks amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what we watch these shows for, right? To get hyped and see what's going on, and then
Absolutely.
we deal with the realities of it when shit gets close, because there's so many games to choose from anyway that it's almost good to find out that one of them sucks, because it's like, okay, well, I don't got to play that.
now I
one.
have free
Hey,
time
you.
again. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm just that
No, I
little
mean-
bit closer to getting to my backlog. Yeah.
Man,
that's it.
backlog is
Absolutely,
forever. You will never
honestly.
get to your
I know,
backlog.
right?
Like,
I'm working on
you
it.
know,
I'm pretty close,
honestly, that's what I
actually.
want to see. I want somebody to sit down and do like, this is my backlog, and pull up their 1,500 games and
Man,
be like, you guys are gonna chronicle with me, and we're gonna go through the entire backlog. Dude's gonna die before they can get through all their games.
Man.
Never mind all the new stuff that's coming out.
listen.
Yeah.
I'm in that boat. I have to have at least over 100 games in my backlog that I probably never get to.
That's a lot. But honestly, even if you had the time, would you beat all those games, or would you play them and be like, all right, this is all right? Like, how many of these games are actually good enough when you look in your backlog
Yeah.
that you will actually go through the whole game, even if you had the time to do it?
Well, if I had the
And most
time,
games are not.
if I had the time, I would though, because see, but
Yeah.
see, I'm a little different, right? Because I'm an achievement hunter. So the problem for me isn't so
that's
much as
true.
beating the game as much as getting all the achievements out of it. That's my problem. If I could,
Yeah.
so like part of it is me playing these bigger games, like an Assassin's Creed, as we see on screen, and trying to find every nook and cranny of that world, right? The other issue is me trying to get all the achievements if I really enjoy that game and that world. So that's what holds me back, and that's why my backlog is so crazy. But I think I'm pretty good at judging on what I'll like. So I got a pretty good selection. It's just that
Yeah.
the time and then trying to play these newer games that we have to discuss and things like that as well. It's just I don't have the time for it.
I definitely have
Wanna
that
challenge
sort of
yourself, though?
situation where, like, if I start a game, I'll finish it 9 out of 10 times, unless it's like really aggressively bad. And even then, if I've spent money on it, I'll probably finish it.
Yeah.
Like I finished Midnight Suns, and I probably shouldn't have because I wasn't having fun at that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you didn't
we
like
remember
that.
Yeah,
yeah,
no, yeah, I was
We
not
remember
going
that
for
one,
Yeah.
I did
You were
finish
not
that.
happy.
yeah.
Like if I start a
You were
game,
not
I will almost always finish it.
Yeah.
But I don't. I feel like I don't pick up as many new games as a lot of people who like do podcasts and stuff, because I feel like they're always like, oh, did you play this and that and this? Like I haven't played Diablo, and I probably because I'm just not really interested in it that much.
Yeah.
But like,
Well,
so
because
my
you know what you
backlog's
like.
not
I hate
super
you,
crazy.
Diablo. How can you not like Diablo? What's wrong with you, man?
I
I'm
just
just giving you a
haven't
hard
played one of
time.
the old ones, and I'm just not that
I mean,
interested.
the
in
man
finding
just said
Oh
it.
that
my
he didn't
God.
like Marvel
Yeah,
Midnight
I've
Suns,
never played one, so I
there we
very
go.
well could like it, but I've never tried, and I don't have time to try it now. So
I mean,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
literally
see,
been
I'm
playing
like on the-
Diablo like a maniac.
Yeah, part
Yeah,
4.
Diablo
I
was
feel-
so
That's
good,
where
man.
all my time has been spent, honestly.
Yeah, part
So-
4 got a ton of my
Yeah.
time. Like I played a good amount of 3. I beat.
Did you
that.
beat
Part
it?
2. Yeah, I did. But
Oh yeah.
part 4
Okay.
though, part
I beat it
4,
too.
I feel like I like part 4 a lot. I think they did a lot right there. But I'm not feeling this new season that they put out. The first season.
No,
It's
the
not-
season's
yeah.
trash, and like the first big patch they put out nerfed everything, and so like honestly, from my perspective, I'm looking because look, this is a trend within Blizzard Activision when it comes to Diablo. The first couple of seasons just kind of hang tight and like weather the storm,
Mhm.
and eventually they'll get it right. They're just not there. I mean, when Diablo 3 dropped, oh my god, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then they finally fixed it and became a super enjoyable game.
Yeah.
So, I'm willing to give them,
Yeah,
because
give them
the
time.
starting block of the race is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so at some point somebody will be like, okay, this is what we need to do. And once they get into that groove, it'll be, they'll ride it out for 10 years. It'll
Yeah.
be them.
But did you hear what
Yeah.
Ferguson said though
What did he say?
What?
on stage?
What did he say on stage? What did-
Roger.
I didn't- I
I
didn't-
say on stage, he was like, "Yeah, and soon with the new first season out, everybody can, just restart fresh, so that's a perfect time for anybody to jump in because everybody restarts fresh." Like he just tried to turn the thing around. It almost felt like he didn't want to say that, but like somebody just told him, "You got to turn this around."
Yeah. Okay, so he was highlighting the whole fact that we have to start over
Yeah.
on every season.
Yeah,
I
he was
don't know why
doubling
people
down
didn't
on
know that, but I guess there's a lot of people who just started
Yeah.
with part 4 to be
apparently
fair.
that's how the old ones were too.
Yeah, they were. So I guess a lot of
Well,
people.
Diablo
were
that's
people
for
that-
sure. But I mean, people would play eternal characters,
wild.
and that was the whole entire point. Like you would go through, and then you'd be able to go to like Torment 16, and basically anything looked at you, you immediately dropped and died, and it was just kind of like that's the fun, that's the challenge, because it's like I've min-maxed my character so well that I'm able to go and like tank my way through an entire dungeon and help like lower level characters come up and gain rank. So
Yeah. So what did
That's
you all
like
think?
something I never got into.
What's that?
No, I just I can't like these seasons and things like that. Like I'll play the main game, and enjoy it and things like that. But I'm not like I can't put like I'll date you, but I can't put a ring on it. You know what I'm saying? So I'll play your game,
Yeah.
right? And I'll beat it, and that's cool. But like you start coming out with seasons, unless you're Halo, like I'm not, like I don't have time to start investing even more. Like you're lucky I beat you in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Let alone keep going and do more. Like there's too many games out there to be so invested on my side. And that's why, like for me, like I know Daniel, you're saying to beat like most of the games you play.
Yeah.
Like I'm like far on the opposite side. Like I'll play a game and I'll experience it, but I've gotten to the point where like with so little time, it's like I'm not like hate playing games. You know what I'm saying? Like
I'm with you
if
on
I
that.
play a game and I'm like, if like my mentality every time I'm gonna go, whenever I have that moment to play, that I always have that same conundrum. Okay, I'm about to sit down. What do I want to play? If your game is not calling me, then I don't play it, right?
Yeah.
So if I started a
Yeah.
game and then I stop playing, then the next day I'm going to play something else, like going to play again, and it's not saying to me like, "Yo, pick that game back up again," then I'm not gonna. You know,
kinda,
like
you kind of go
Diablo
off
did
your
that to me.
instincts for
I
you.
feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like what I
it's-
feel. You know what I'm saying? Like it has to
yeah.
call me to want me
me,
to
it's
play.
less.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's less like a hate play. Like I'm not playing it because I'm like, oh, I hate this. I need to know exactly how bad it is. It's a combination of like, if I spent money on it, then I'm like, I spent money on this. Like I did this to myself. Like I need to figure out how much I've destroyed my life here. Or if it's like a game that just came out and it's really popular,
Yeah.
then I'll want to finish that so that I can like be part of the conversation
Yeah.
on podcasts.
I
And
hear
stuff.
that. Yep.
The only time
Yeah,
that I'll
that's
drop
the
a
whole
game
sunken
is
cost
if
fallacy.
yeah, it really
That's the whole-
is. It super is, and it's not like good or healthy, but it is what I do.
Yeah.
So
I'm guilty of
Um,
that as well. The whole podcasting thing kind of pushes us that direction.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
the only time I'll drop a game is because I'm about to drop one. Is I just started Immortals Phoenix Rising,
Good
and I'm
game.
like, this
Really
seems like
good
a
game.
lot, and I'm just not feeling it.
You know what? Give it
Like-
time. I would say don't rush into that one right now because you got Starfield about to come up. You're not going to be able
Yeah.
to put your time into that.
It feels like it's a lot, and like honestly, it just feels kind of like it just feels kind of cheap to me. Like I play it, and I'm like, I don't really love the narration. The gameplay is fine. The UI kind of looks like it's from a mobile game. Like I'm just like not vibing with it at all. But it's like I admit that it doesn't seem like a bad game on any level. I just don't feel it, and because I didn't pay money for it, and I feel like it's not really part of the conversation anymore. I feel like it's safe to drop. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at.
I hear you. Well, I was
But
going to
yeah,
say,
you gotta do it the way you want to. Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say so. Chat, if you all could also do this standout game of the show for you all for opening night live or for in
Yeah, throw
general.
'em in there.
What put what you all thought was your best. I was going to
let me
say
put mine there.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say too with so I was talking with a few friends and stuff and such, and we talked about Black Myth Wukong, and a buddy of mine who I won't say right now, he was like he wasn't feeling Black Myth. What did you all think about Black Myth Wukong? Like that looked good to you or what?
Super hyped for that game. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, are you kidding me? Like, so I'm a huge fan of like God of War and all that kind of stuff. And if you're giving me a similar experience, but in a completely different setting and same kind of level of quality, attention to detail, all that kind of stuff with like amazing tight combat, then yeah, I'm 1,000% all over that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I've been following that game since the first little smidgen of it like hit the internet. And I mean, I've been just chomping at the bit, and it's been what, like 4, 5, 6 years at this point
Has
that
it
we've
been
been
that
like
long?
hearing about this game. It seems like it. So
It feels like
it's
been
coming
that
out.
long.
Yeah, it's coming out in 2024, bro.
Yeah.
I will be there day one. Give me the collector's edition of the little like monkey dude, like
Yeah.
fighting some dragon or something. 100% all over it.
Yeah. What about you, Aaron? What would you about to say something about it? I thought you were.
I mean, I'm not. I hate to bring it down.
I like the
but,
noises Aaron is making. He's like,
No, but the thing, like, first things first, yes, Black Myth Wukong. When that trailer hit, and when you sit there, front row, and 4 meters ahead of you, you have this huge, LED screen with the native video just pumping, and the music. The music. That was one of the highlights. That was pretty much the 1 out of 2 times I actually almost smiled. during the whole
Almost.
show.
That's big praise.
I take it you didn't care for the show.
You were gonna say that.
Right.
I was not expecting you to say.
Yeah.
Almost smiled.
Wow.
What the fuck?
You are a tough
But-
man to please.
Damn.
He was in there with his arms folded
Oh.
the entire time. Like, are we through
Oh,
yet?
yeah,
I feel that though. Like,
hey man,
Jeff Keighley for me has never really put on like a good show. He's put on a lot of like fine shows.
Yeah.
And I get that this wasn't technically his show, but like he's the face of it, so I'm
Right.
gonna count it.
Mhm.
No,
Of like,
to your point though, like when we're on
Yeah.
this topic, and I because you said it before, Daniel, like I agree. I felt like the show was quite boring,
Yeah, it's
but it was
fine.
it was not because of what he set for expectations, but it's because so far when he has set expectations in the past, those expectations have been a little bit, give or take. He has said these things before, like don't expect new announcements, and then all of a sudden you see 2-3 new things that you're like, wait a minute, this
Yeah,
is
what's
so
going on here?
cool.
Yeah.
So, but this didn't really happen this time for me personally. But this Black Myth Wukong trailer just hit all the right spots,
Yeah.
and with the music and that specific music around those. If you've watched a lot of Hong Kong movies during the 80s and the 90s, and you know that flair that those instruments have when they
Absolutely.
really pack a punch,
Yep.
that has the trailer had everything about that. So that really caught me, and grabbed me. But to your earlier question though, Umbra, like yes, the thing that really made me smile, and to your earlier point, C Money, was of course Marvel Snap coming out on PC.
Oh,
my
I
God.
forgot you a big Marvel Snap
I'm so.
fan.
Can I tell you? I hate that guy. The Marvel Snap guy.
You hate him?
Every time he comes out on stage,
He's
and
extra as fuck, bro.
I'll tell you what, like he seems like a great guy. I think he's actually like probably really nice. But I see him on so many ads, and he's always so loud, and like he is at 110% at all time,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
hate it. I
He
also
is
hate,
very excited.
uh,
I'll agree with you there.
yeah, I think I conflated a little bit
Definitely
though
excited.
because there's that other Marvel game, the Marvel like Strike Force, where the guy's like, oh, I keep like in all the ads, he's always like, oh, I keep getting beat by Doctor Doom, I can't beat him, and then that other dude pops up and he's like, you're probably doing it wrong, and it's just like backseat gaming, and I'm like, what is it with Marvel mobile games and just having the most annoying commercials? Like, what's
Well,
going
listen,
on
though,
here?
yeah, like Ben Brode, of course. Shout out to Ben Brode for
Yeah, he
for
seems
being
like a
who he
really
is.
nice guy.
Yeah, like he's so open. He's so the reason he puts him out there in the announcements of the new seasons and all of that, because he's been that guy over the years, even at Blizzard, of course. And small story, when I waited, because I wanted to do a photo shoot of the stage when everybody left, and since they messed up, they had a lot of guards guarding the stage, so nobody could walk up even after the show was done. So I stood there and waited, and I talked to the guards like, can you guys just move away so I can take these pictures, because we're going to use some graphics for the magazines and yada yada. And they were fine with me waiting. But while I was waiting, who did I saw on the right side of the stage, if not Ben Brode? So my ass hauled everything. Like I took my backpack, everything, my tripod, and just started to jog towards him. And it's still dark, with the lights and stuff. And this is the thing. Fortunately for me, Ben Brode is a very huge guy. Like he packs a punch.
Yeah.
So I'm
He punched
happy
you?
because no.
What, he saw you're not smiling. He's like, oh, let me fix that
No.
for you.
No,
Oh, he
but
was
I-
playing
but
on
I-
Snap.
So what I did was, because he was starting to go away from the stage, and I had to catch him. So I yogged and I screamed, or I shouted, "Mr. Brode," and I pointed at him when he turned around. Mr. Brode. I came close. And I'm like, so
He got
sorry.
defensive,
I
threw
just
his
gotta
hands
ask you.
up.
So I asked him pretty much. He's like, I'm, appreciate the new version. Go ahead with that. Sorry for losing all my journalistic integrity, but Marvel Snap is the only game that I'm just like, I'm not reviewing that game. It's just my cuddle before going to bed each bed, whatever. And I kind of got an email so I could book a later interview with him if
Nice.
there was an open slot. But nothing more than that. But no, he's that guy, and he just wants to
Sounds
give
good.
himself, out there in that way.
So
A
one
lot
of
of
the,
Really
energy.
play it
Yeah.
all the time, or were you selling him a bag of lies?
no, he plays it all the time. He posts about it on Twitter all the time too. But I was going to say
nice.
that one of the, if we're talking about the games that actually impressed, actually it's funny to me. Modern Warfare 3 right here, better yet. That's using
Yes.
tools, maps and all that. But this
I
actually
agree.
blew me away. I was like,
I
wow.
agree. I do think it was on stage a little too long, but it
Yeah.
did look really good.
It was like almost 10 minutes.
I
You're
think
right.
the mission wasn't the best mission. Like I was talking to Doodle when we were watching it, and she felt the same way. It's like they should have had like more of a slightly more bombastic,
I get you.
like for this type. If you're gonna be that long, make it interesting and not just sneaking around. You know what I'm saying?
But for me,
I
that
think
is
it
the
looks
interesting thing for
phenomenal.
me. Like the whole espionage, coming into the shadows, like all of that. I love that type of stuff because I've always been like a Splinter Cell fan, right? So I love that type of stuff. So this right here just spoke to my soul personally. I mean, I loved it, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't even play these
I think
games
it's
like that.
gorgeous.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous too.
Well,
but
Call of Duty stories are
it's-
always really good, but
they are typically,
um,
yeah. I didn't care for Ghosts.
yeah, I
story. It
mean,
sucked, but
well,
typically.
Ghost was like a rare miss, I would say. But even
Yeah.
like the ones that people think are bad, like what was the last one? Not the World War II. That one was really good. Vanguard was good, man.
I have
The
to.
story was good.
You know,
People hating on it for no reason.
The beautiful thing about all of this is that now that Microsoft is about to fully own APK, all of these will be
Yep.
coming into Game Pass. I can get back and play
Game
through
Pass,
all the ones I never played, and I've missed a lot because I don't care
Yeah.
for the multiplayer in Call of Duty. I only care for this
That's what I'm
campaign.
saying. As a campaign only guy,
Oh,
that's really nice for me.
multiplayer.
Exactly.
Listen, the multiplayer is really good, man.
Yeah.
Like
it
I don't,
tells
I,
me,
I don't
trust
play
me.
it often,
Yeah.
but it's so good. Like they're literally like, aside from Halo, I mean, I love Halo's my heart always.
Oh yeah.
But
Same.
outside of Halo, right? So if you take Halo out of the equation just for shits and giggles, these are like the kings of this shit, man. Like,
Well,
their
it's not even a
gunplay-
question. I mean, no, that's
Yeah,
not
it's
no
just
question. They're at the top of the
crazy.
top right now. They're the cream of the crop and the top of the top. But like for me, and I hear everybody tell me that too. I got buddies that like Pete and everybody like, man, you need to get on Call of Duty. But man, that Twitch style shooting, just I don't know. Maybe I'm too old for it now. I don't know. But
It's not. If you can see, this is the thing. This game, you play it.
Mhm.
If you play it smart, you don't have to be the one doing it. Like you can move slow when everybody else is moving fast.
Yeah.
And beat some ass. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a lot of times they run so much that they can't stop fast enough to kill you if you're ready. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Right.
it's just how you play it, but it's good. It's really good.
Maybe I got to give it another try. Maybe, like I say though, when they start hitting Game Pass, that's when I'll be more open to it. I couldn't justify in my head like paying $70 and knowing I'm only
Oh,
going to really
yeah,
play
no,
that
I get that.
campaign and be
I
mad.
mean, they're all just the same, right? Like each and every campaign. I've played each and every campaign since 2007.
Mhm.
Like it always feels like the same thing. It's some, I
Well,
I
you're
wanna say it's
doing
like-
the
it's-
same thing because
but
it's
but
military
it's
stuff.
also-
This
Yeah, but
acting
it-
is pretty good. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what I'm saying. Like for me, it feels like, what if Michael Bay directed an episode of 24? Like it's that same patriotic, just over the top shit nonsense every
Yeah.
time, and every time I forget about the characters. But but I want to try each and every year to play the campaign all the way through to like get a notion of flow. So where is AAA first-person shooters in this year? Like because that's pretty much actually what Call of Duty represents each year for me. It's a good measurement to where the industry is at, and to this day, they have not managed to, for me at least, pull off a campaign that I can actually feel something about. Which I think
Not even
is
Call of
a
Duty
big-
4, the first Modern Warfare. You didn't feel that way?
No, that was the worst prejudice I've seen back. Like the crazy. Everything was wrong with that campaign. I get it, like the dramatics and if you just look at it as a pure action movie, I get that. Like, yeah, it did things. It did cool things. It turned around, a lot of things back then that they weren't really used to going into the modern warfare, of course. But just as the theme of the stories and the protagonists and the the villains of like, it's just like, come on.
I don't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to go too far into that, but I don't know, man. What Modern Warfare? That one, I
want to
loved
go too far, man. Let's go.
Yeah. It's only so far. The problem is that you still got to wrap it around what it is, right? Like Call of Duty, it's a military shooter, right? So there's like only so far you can go. If you want to travel into like Spec Op line, right? That's a different game though, right? Like it's still that was focused around that story where this is still about the experience and the gameplay and everything else, and then the story's wrapped on there, and they do it I mean, for all intents and purposes, at a pretty high level, I would say, compared to
Yeah,
a lot
extremely
of
high
what's out
level.
there in general.
Yeah,
You know, especially compared to literally any other military shooter.
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
they definitely crush it in comparison to that. But I
Mm.
don't know why I'm standing for it so hard. Like, I don't buy this at day one. I bought it like 2 months ago. I bought Modern Warfare 2 like 2 months ago on sale.
You out there fully
But
defending
it was
it.
fun.
Yeah, you ready?
I mean, they are extremely high production values to the campaigns, of course, and that's why I play them each year. But if I would use one single example, that would be the Battlefield 5, one of the war stories from Battlefield 5, where you play as a Norse female soldier trying to rescue her partner from the Nazis, and how that was all natively spoken in Norwegian and just very authentic, like very focused to our experience, like a war story, like that kind of mission. I remember that to this day because they tried to go for a more authentic, made up situation around those times, where they repeatedly, like, yeah, I mean, we've seen the story that Call of Duty is telling over and over again in movies, in books, in cinema, and in games. And I feel like they have yet to challenge themselves and the norms that they're portraying on display.
Yeah.
Battlefield
But
did
that's just on
kind of take
the
it to the next
overarching
level.
plot,
I
So,
wish they didn't get, kind of beat down to the point where they wanted, like, they just cut the campaign from this last one, because I loved their campaigns too, to be honest with you. I thought they killed them, a lot of times. Bad Company, come on, man, those were amazing, bro. I don't know how they haven't
it's
given
super
us
stupid,
Bad
but I
Company
agree.
3.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
love those games. And don't get me wrong, like, when my critique does not come from the pacing, the acting, the framing, the direction. It only comes from, like, so what are the actual themes that they are putting out there to millions of young people in the world? Like, what type of themes are they still portraying to this day in 2023? Like, it wasn't up until the point where they covered up an old war crime, that the U.S. was responsible for in one of the games. I can't remember exactly which one I'm talking about. Hell's
Yeah, I
Highway.
remember what you're
Like,
talking
how they
about.
rewrite history just to try to pull things off and not even, like, mentioning it. It's a weird way, and I think those conversations needs to be had because it is a powerhouse in influence in the culture.
So another beautiful game, which I'm excited to play, is here right now on the screen. Lords of the Fallen. What are you guys feeling about this game right here? Doc, what's your thoughts on this? I know it's in your wheelhouse, right?
Oh, 100%. Like, I've got the collector's edition already pre-ordered. Like, I'm literally chomping at the
Oh,
bit.
damn.
I played the original one, right? So this is kind of like a rebirth, I think, of aspects of the original, but now they're able to flesh out all the things that they wanted to do. Because when they first came out, I mean, it was just an amazing game graphically, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
The play control I thought was a little bit not 100% dialed in. So I hope they've got that part fixed, but it's kind of a Western interpretation of the Souls-like game, in my opinion. So I feel like this is going to be the best version of that game, and I think that it's genuinely going to be very good. I mean, I would expect this to get like an 8 out of 10 at least, right? Like, so everybody who's kind of interacted with it and has had the opportunity has really truly enjoyed it. Based off the feedback that I've kind of heard, word around the campfire stuff. So, I think it's going to be a great game. The problem is it's launching in a year that just has so many good titles. And that's the problem, right? Like, you got all these big, like, mega, AAA type games that are coming out, like Starfield. And, we've already had like Final Fantasy 16, and we've got, Diablo 4, and we've got like Baldur's Gate 3. And then all of a sudden you've got this, kind of more action adventure type, game. I mean, is it going to get buried in the shuffle, especially coming up into the holidays, right? Because isn't it coming out in October?
Yeah, I think it's October 13th to be exact.
Yeah.
So it's
So
a tough
I
one.
mean, like there's just too much to play, and I love it. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just noting that, like, basically you have to really, be like, hey, I'm going to focus on the games and the game types that I really like, because if I try to play everything, I mean, some people may have the time budget to be able to do that. I don't think, the average person does. So But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a phenomenal title. I think the graphics are absolutely breathtaking, and I
Yeah.
think that if they've got the play control down, it's going to be a banger.
It looks really,
You know
really
what I like
good.
about these games coming? What I was gonna say is about these games coming out in this crowded area
What's that?
is that it's more likely that they won't do as well as they hoped, and we'll get them in Game Pass. That's the dream.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
dream.
you know, part of the reason why I
Because-
love it is speaking of the visuals, you know, Unreal Engine 5. I'll be remiss if I didn't
Yes.
highlight that. One of my favorite engines in gaming. The Lords of the Fallen absolutely does look gorgeous. You know, the thing about it, the first game, I couldn't stand it, man. I bought that, well, at least I played it. I don't know, did I buy that? I forgot. But I played it and I did not like it at all. But
the first one you did not like at all?
I hated it. I thought it was stiff,
Yo,
annoying.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Bro, I hated Souls games like
Yeah.
with a passion.
Mhm.
And that was literally the only Souls game when it came out that I actually played and I actually finished it.
Really?
All the big ones, Dark Souls, all that crap, I can't stand them or I couldn't stand them. Maybe now after Elden Ring, things might be different.
So Dark
but-
Souls you couldn't get into, but that you got into.
That I got into and I beat it, bro, which
Wow.
is crazy because that type of game I don't mess with. And I beat that. It was great. Loved it. I think the graphics though, to MD's point is they were so good. Like I love like graphics can push me a long way. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
something really beautiful can, I'll stick around. And I think Dark Souls just at the time, I just did not like how it looked. I didn't like how it felt, and how it played. But this one was just like perfect.
There is a bit of a learning curve with Dark Soul type games, but I don't know, man. Like I played that, and I've played a bunch of other Dark Soul games, and then when I played
That's
that,
probably
it just
why
felt-
though.
That's maybe it is.
You probably like Dark
Yeah.
Souls, and
I
it's
love
probably a
Dark
better
Souls.
game.
yeah.
So because you play Dark Souls, which was arguably probably the better game to most people,
Mhm.
going to Lords of the Fallen, you're like, man, this is a downgrade. Whereas me, I couldn't stand Dark Souls, so I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
this is refreshing.
My problem with Lords of the Fallen, the first one, the second one looks like they're making a lot of improvements, so hopefully it's better. But for me, my problem with the first one was just it was so slow and like
Yeah.
clunky.
Same
like
way I
it
felt.
felt like you were just lugging around lead boots everywhere.
That's exactly how I felt playing it. It was that just felt.
Yeah.
I felt
stiff.
badass doing that.
I felt over
I was like, look
encumbered
at me.
every time. But what
Honestly, yeah, it does
Yeah.
kind of have that vibe.
That's what I felt, man. And what about that first Descendant they just showed? What did you all think about that? It looks pretty good. What it looks
Graphically, it looks good.
Is it a looter shooter? What type of game is that though?
You know what I
first
thought? I thought this was that Stellar Blade game.
It kind of does
when
look
they
like
first
that,
showed
right?
it.
Yeah.
Stellar Yams.
I was
can
like,
see
oh, we're
that.
finally gonna
Yeah,
get a release
Stellar,
date
yeah.
for that game, even though honestly that game doesn't
No,
look
it's a
particularly
4-player
good. But
Isn't it 4-player co-op like Borderlands? Isn't it that type of game?
For First Descendants, I'm not sure.
here, I'll look it
The
up.
First Descendant, it's free to play. Yeah, it's free to play. I'm not sure what type of genre it is. to be
They call it
honest.
a dynamic co-op shooting game, so whatever that means.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Yeah, I think
I-
it's.
I-
oh,
I
according
think-
to Steam, it's a looter shooter. Yeah, so
Yeah, perfect. No, that's great.
yeah. It looks really good. You know, it kind of put me in a mind of also Warframe a little bit. It put me in mind of.
I can see
Warframe.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Warframe has evolved so much since the last time I paid attention to that game. Like every time I see it, it's just a completely different video game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's genuinely
Warframe.
outstanding.
I haven't thought about that game
Yeah.
in so long.
Brought back good
I
memories.
thought it was
huh?
bad.
Oh no, brought back bad memories.
Yeah.
Then.
No, no, it's not.
Uh-oh.
No, it's not that it was bad. I just feel like it was cool for a while, but like I said, man, I can't stick with things that long.
Yeah.
And
That's my problem too, man.
You know?
Especially with like MMO. That's why I couldn't get into MMOs and stuff like that. It's like you got to stick with that.
yeah.
I used to be so deep on MMOs, and I actually
Yeah.
really want to get back into one, like really bad, but I just don't have the time. Like
Yeah.
the game that's on the screen right now, Genshin Impact, right? I got into that real hard, and I really like that game. It's genuinely just like, hey, what if Breath of the Wild was fun to play?
Damn.
And I really enjoyed it. The gotcha
Wow, that's
mechanics
all I
aside,
hate.
it was like really good. And I haven't played the Honkai Star Rail yet because
Yeah.
it's only on PC, but I'll get around to it at some point. That looks really good. Like those games look really good, but again, it's like it's just a matter of time. Like I can't get into it where it's like I know this is a good game. Like I look at the new expansion for WoW, I look at Elder Scrolls Online, I look at the like newer SWTOR stuff, and I'm like, I know that I would love these if I played them, but if I played them like 6 months to get through one of these campaigns.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
I can't do that.
I feel you. So we had one of the surprises. The trailer played already, but one of the surprises for his show was Little Nightmares 3.
Yeah.
Have you all played
So
any
that
of
one's
those?
got
Yeah, I've got the first and the second one, and
Two of
they're
those.
excellent games. They're
Yeah.
so good. And the fact that like historically, Gamescom is where they actually announce each version of the game. So I thought it was pretty fitting that they did it the third one. And I mean they're fun little games. I mean they're really cool. The graphics are neat. You know, the art style's fantastic. These are not like big lengthy kind of games. They're really just bite-sized morsels, and they're perfect for that. And the aesthetic is just wonderful.
Yeah, they're really good, just like short little games to play like when that spooky season rolls around. Like they're really good for that.
Right.
I will say though, this one specifically, Little Nightmares 3, is not being made by the same team. The team that made it originally, I forget the name of them, but they sort of moved on to greener pastures. This is being worked on by
Studios.
Yeah,
The
this is
first
being
team, the
worked
first
on
game.
by the Until
Supermassive?
Dawn team. The super I always confuse
Supermassive?
Supermassive and
Supermassive?
Supergiant. Yeah,
That's
Oh,
one
Super
of
those
those
ones.
games.
You know, it showed
So
that
they're
Supermassive.
making-
Massive, they're good.
It shows
Yeah, so they're-
Supermassive. You're right.
They're making this one and also a podcast, I guess, for some reason.
Podcast.
But
Yeah, that was random.
yeah, I don't know what that's
And
about.
unnecessary.
So this might not necessarily feel like 100% like the old ones. Supermassive did do like the definitive edition upgrades for Little Nightmares 2, so they have worked with it before. But just like as a heads up, it is a different team.
So one of the games I actually I put so much time into. We talking about time put into a game, see money. I put in 450 hours plus into Cyberpunk. Loved it.
Oh damn!
Loved it, man. So
Shit, and I thought I love Cyberpunk.
Man, I enjoyed that world
You
so much.
set me up on that.
Yeah, it has like it. Don't get me wrong, it had a lot of issues, right? We can acknowledge that, but man, was it a fun game to play for me? Like,
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
I love it. It was amazing. I just didn't put that much time into it.
At
450.
first,
That's a lot.
yeah. Well, at first I hated it because I felt the shooting was really bad.
Yeah.
But then I got the gorilla arms and I was like, well, this is just the game now. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna be punching everything. I'm just gonna be
Oh,
punching
you
everything.
get the katana.
Oh man,
There's
love the
nothing-
katana.
Like running up to a bunch of dudes who are shooting you, just slicing them. Chop, chop,
That was
gone.
me.
It's beautiful.
That was me. I barely shot
Oh
anybody.
man, I
was
can't
just
wait for
slicing.
Phantom Liberty.
Now that's why I brought it up because it's on
I
our
have the
screen
lifesteal
now.
thing.
Oh, nice. You got the lifesteal.
Because Gorilla Arms had a thing where you would punch a dude's entire head off and then heal like 20% of your health. And so you would literally I was just like flash stepping around, punching the hell out of people. It was amazing. Honestly,
So-
it was a lot of fun.
I did the flash step.
That's
I guess
just so dope.
what they call it. Sort of. I forgot the name of that. That
Did you just almost say Sudafed?
I sort of. I took some Sudafed and I sliced somebody's head off. Yeah, I forgot what they called it.
Again? Is that it?
Yeah,
We're
Seagull
back on
five.
track?
All right, I was Seagull's fiving my way around, and
There we go.
I forgot
Oh
what
my
they call
God.
it in the world, but you use that to slow down time, and you move so fast. So I was slicing people up, and I also had those impale arms with the what they call those things that impale you can impale them with
Oh, the Mantis.
the
whatever.
mantis blades arms. That's
The
right.
mantis
Yeah.
things that come out of your arms.
Yeah. So stuff like that was really dope. But man, I still love the way the world looks like. Looking at this now, looking at Phantom Liberty. How hyped are you all for this?
It
And
really looks
and
amazing.
it does, but man,
it almost
it's the
feels like
wrong
this is
time.
the version. This is the version of the game that we should have gotten.
Absolutely.
Like that's
Yeah.
and honestly, I think that the fact I have one issue, right? Like I
Mhm.
was under the impression that this was a free upgrade, and then I found out after the fact that the game engine and stuff will be upgraded for the original version of Cyberpunk 2077 to the new version, but then the actual campaign components you actually have to basically buy, and for whatever
Which
reason,
they've
like,
always done.
well, no, because I mean, like you look at The Witcher, right? Like if you had the season pass or whatever, it covered like all the DLC that came out afterwards, which was absolutely phenomenal. And I had purchased the Xbox One X limited edition console that came with the game. And
Nice.
so, I don't know, maybe I just misunderstood or misinterpreted, or I just didn't, read the fine
there-
print on that.
Was there other DLC that came out, like skins or something that I didn't hear about?
No.
No,
For this,
no.
they've done some things where some things were added, but nothing major because they've been working on this.
Yeah.
The
Well, I
problem
know they
with
did a
this
bunch of
game is that it
updates.
should have never came out. It should have never released on the
Yeah, no
old
way.
gen systems.
I agree.
Yeah, that didn't help.
And
It
it came
should've
out
just
came
been
out
a
sooner than it
next-gen
should
game.
have too. On top of it
Yeah,
being
well,
cross
because
gen
on-
and such,
on-
or at least I
Bro,
guess
on
past
PC,
gen.
which is how I played it, it was glorious.
Yeah.
Like perfection, no problems. Loved every moment.
Hey, about that
Graphically
PC
was
though.
insane.
Yeah, I played it on my the One X. I had the One X at the time.
Listen, did you guys see
Same.
that small text below? Did you see the text below in the trailer?
Let me see. Let me
What'd it say?
rewind it a bit. What did it say? Let's see.
Hey,
What is
it
that?
started off with this is running on a NASA computer from 2049 with a
Yes.
Super Overdrive RTX.
Yeah,
Don't expect
bro.
these graphics to be on the consoles. I'm just saying.
Oh, I missed
Yeah.
that part of the
No,
trailer.
it's-
I mean, it's
It's
not
not
gonna.
That's
You're,
hilarious.
you're not gonna have those graph. If they're talking about a NASA computer from, I mean, you're not gonna have it on
No,
most PCs.
that was my
I
wording.
think it's
Sorry.
tongue in cheek.
Well,
I think it's tongue in cheek.
That was his
Nah, it works.
translation.
It works really good with DLSS. I think 3.
Mhm.
With they did that upgrade that came to PC where the entire game world is ray traced now. It's not
Yeah, I
like
saw
it's
some
not
of
just
that.
point lights or everything.
Yeah.
It looks phenomenal and it runs amazing because that DLSS 3 is crazy.
I
And now they're coming out
watched-
with DLS 3.5.
I watched
which
a
is gonna
bunch of
make it
that.
even better.
Somebody had put up a gameplay trailer, not a gameplay trailer, but gameplay of them playing it with all that turned on.
Oh yeah.
And I watched it off my I got the Galaxy, so I can put it to 4K. And I watched it, man, I'm like, wow. I thought it looked good
Yes.
before.
Oh, don't worry. We'll be streaming it when it comes out
Nice.
because I love it.
The
I
problem,
can't wait to play this. But I mean,
that's the
obviously,
problem, though,
this
man.
is the nice thing
because-
about doing.
yeah,
Well,
What
the
we saying?
nice thing about doing the shows,
Mhm.
right? So we on my channel we stream, like we play games, right? So that's like my way to play games, with Doodle that I'm not playing like to play. You know what I'm saying? So like
Right.
I'm gonna be playing Starfield. That's always gonna be happening. But when a new game drops and if it's one that I know I'm gonna get or whatever it is,
Mhm.
we'll play it right there, and we'll stream it for a few hours so I kind of get to scratch that itch, but know that I'm just gonna go back and play my main game and then I'll come back to this later,
I wish I could do that, man. If I get into a game, I have to stick to that game until I'm finished with it. It's hard for me to pull away from a game to go to something else. That's another problem. That's another.
I mean, to
reason
be
why my
fair,
backlog
if
is
I
crazy.
started a game and it called me away from Starfield, then that's what happened. I just
Yeah.
highly doubt it. Honestly, we were talking about we've been talking about these different games and stuff, and it's like I was playing Baldur's Gate 3, which I love,
Mhm.
which is not my type of game, but I'm like super into it, right? But dude, this last week, once all this Starfield stuff is like really like everywhere, and it's just like pumping on all cylinders, like the hype machine is rolling.
Yeah.
Dude, like I haven't touched anything because it's like nothing is good enough to play right now in my mind because I'm just waiting for Starfield.
Yeah.
Like
I
I
hear
just
you.
I need it's so close.
As is customary, we had to have some type of police ride by. Anyway, so hey, Chicago is 100 degrees out here. People outside, and yeah.
Oh,
But
it's been 100 degrees here for 40 days.
oh man, ridiculous.
We're watching
It's
PM
dark
in the
and
PM.
hell is
Oh, I just transitioned from it. Yeah, it played after.
Oh,
Oh,
Shout out to Mav and Pong. Shout out
that
to
would
Mav
be
and Pong.
quite. that'd be- listen to a podcast while watching a different one. That's dope. That's next level. Next level
Podception.
shit right there.
Podception. Yeah. Absolutely.
Podception.
So
Oh.
yeah, man, as far as I was saying though, as far as it goes with Phantom Liberty is coming at the time again where I'll be deep into Starfield. So it's like, how do I get a chance to pull away from that?
Yep.
That's the problem. And I think it's going to be a problem for many of us when it comes to this. But moving forward, we had some news here about Armored Core 6. They showed the launch trailer for that too. And now we have the Meta and Open Critic scores for that, and that's looking good.
Reviews.
Yeah, so it's
Looking
like an 87, right, across the board.
real beefy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
solid.
let me-
solid.
That's wild.
That's an excellent, I mean,
Yeah.
score and game. I mean, everybody who's played it looks like they're enjoying it. So,
Mm-hmm.
You know what's the
Hell
problem
yeah.
with those scores though?
What's that?
The problem with those scores is that or at least the way I see it, is that that's not from like your everyman who's scoring that game. I'm saying like those are the people who love those type of games that are looking to play that type of game, who is like, oh, that type of game is great. And as much as that's nice, that doesn't help like regular people who are not necessarily interested in that type of game
That's fair.
and might be interested to see what type of perspective somebody who is not into that type of game would
Hey, let me
feel,
push back
right?
on.
Like
let
that's
me
a
push back
real
on that.
niche game.
Let me push back on that a little bit, and let me tell you why. So the way I look at Metacritic and OpenCritic and all that is, first of all, it depends on the total number of reviews that you have, right? If you got 6 reviews and they give it a 97, that doesn't mean anything. If you've got 600 reviews and you got a 97, that means a lot.
Yeah.
And so this is one of those scenarios, right? Like when you get to 150 different publications all saying that a game is great, then it tends to be great. But if you've got a very small number of publications saying that it's great or horrible, either direction, right? Like if you're on the extremes, that's when you're kind of like, okay, whatever. I'm going to have to try this myself and kind of like, put my own, determination on whether it's good or not.
Mhm.
This game, I think, is probably going to be a little bit more mass market friendly than the previous Armor Core entries. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that you've got so many people now that played Elden Ring. They're going to be like, I want to try this new game from Bandai Namco. For them, it's new. because
You're
they've
definitely going to
never
have a lot more
played.
people who play it.
Yeah.
From what we've heard from like the previews and stuff, it is going to be a little bit less. What's the word? Like
A little less tough to
obtuse.
control, I think. Or something
Yeah,
like that, right?
because old Armored Core games had a lot of like min-maxing your mech and like going in and messing with menus, and apparently that's like really stripped down, which maybe old fans won't like as much. But I think it's really going to help with new people coming in and actually engaging with it, because some of that stuff was really dense back on like PS2.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like the same situation though, because as much as that's the case, like it's still like
Yeah.
playing
Well, I
with
totally understand
robots,
what
right?
you're
And like
saying.
how many robot games are out there that are popping, right? So as much as there's like 150 reviews, I could imagine that in the realm of that market, there's probably millions of people who love that game, just not like crazy amount, right? I would say like the point is that with the reviews, if it's 150 of them, I'm pretty sure you can find 150 people who loved the original Armored Cores. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
so I still feel the same way. Like the review is going to be done by someone who is already predisposed to liking that type of game.
Yeah,
And
and that's
that's my
usually the
problem with
case
it.
for reviews.
It's not like Elden Ring that's so
and
dope,
so-
right? Like
Yeah.
the look of it is different, right? It's still robots, and there's a reason why we don't see tons of mech games anymore, right? Because there's not a huge market for it. So that's the only thing. I feel like this is one of
That's
those illusion
possible.
scenarios.
I do
It's
think
like dope, but
that
like
I do think that for most people, like on an individual basis, I think using Metacritic as like a decision maker of like whether or not you should buy a game is probably not like something that's necessarily going to work for you. Like you should, like individuals, I always say should probably look at like the actual bodies of what people are saying in the reviews. Like the number doesn't necessarily matter, or talk to people that you know that have played it. Like I think that's always going to be a lot more valuable. The Metacritic score is important, but it's really just like a general viewpoint of like what the industry thinks of the game. It doesn't necessarily mean like how wide appealing it would be, because like you can look at a lot of games like yeah, honestly, even like the first Dishonored games, which were pretty good, like the reviews super high, but they didn't perform well in terms of sales because they didn't speak to the majority of people, right? And so like I totally understand what you're saying, but I don't think that Metacritic scores have ever been really that thing where it's like, oh, it's a 90, that means everyone has to love it. Yeah.
So I was,
So
yeah, you gotta kind of feel that anyway.
let me ask you.
Yeah.
So we had two things I'll mention. We had three things. Killing Floor 3. Am I the only one that thought that was like Gears of War or something like that when that thing
I
first?
sure as hell did.
I
I was like,
think-
oh my god, what?
I
I
could have
mean-
sworn that was a damn enemy. Like I'm like, that's one of the
Oh,
the-
just the locust.
Yeah.
I can
I
see
was
why
like,
you would
they're
think
like
that.
Oh, that's
making, like,
exactly what I
bionic
said to
locusts.
Doodle.
Exactly right. I
That's
thought
exactly
that,
what
and
I
I
said.
was like, whoa, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, because I was about to be super pumped. They were about to drop the Gears 6 trailer, and I was like, what?
I could have
Because
sworn,
like Gears,
man.
of all
Yep.
franchises on Earth, Gears is my number one, right?
Yeah.
Like it replaced Street Fighter in my heart. So
Oh,
like
man.
that's how. Yeah,
It's
like,
almost
I mean,
like you
I
don't
literally-
even need those Sea of Thieves controllers anymore, right?
Yeah.
I'm never selling those. No, but it's funny because it's like one of those things. I literally have every piece of Gears swag on Earth,
Nice.
like everything. The only thing that I'm missing is the life-size Marcus statue. That's the only thing that I don't have. But I have every bust, every statue, every variant of the Lancers, retro and regular, that were released.
Nice.
All sealed in their original packaging and stuff like that. So, like, if you guys ever come across Gears swag, hit me up and let me know because I'll definitely pick it up.
Trust me,
Nice.
I will go to my friend who worked at some of the Gears games and talk to him before we do that exchange. You know what I mean?
Coalition. You got some.
Oh
buddies up
yeah,
there?
no. It's funny because a buddy of mine was actually a level artist on Gears, so I actually went to Epic for Gears 2 and Gears 3, and got to tour the campus and like see their small mocap studio that they had, and like just meet and greet different people who did different things on the game. Met Karen Travis, who is the person who wrote the novelizations and stuff like that. So and I met Rod Ferguson as well. So I mean, I had a amazing time. And it's funny, you come to the parking lot, Lamborghini, Ferrari. I'm just like, okay, it's like I put that into your garage, basically. You know what I'm saying? And it's just absolutely phenomenal. And some of the coolest guys. Like, I mean, Epic is definitely one of the friendliest studios I've ever visited. People were very warm, engaging. They were like, hyped, but I also had somebody who was vouching for me. It wasn't like I was some creep in the parking lot trying to like, break into the lunchroom. Like I actually had an employee who was like, no, he's a friend of mine. It's legit. And we had an amazing time. So yeah. The Coalition trilogy, not my favorite, although from a technical aspect, 5 is one of the most outstandingly beautiful games, period. Blank.
Loved it, man. I agree with you there.
Definitely stunning.
Yeah, I don't think Part 5 actually gets enough love, personally. So
no, it's bullshit.
Yeah,
it's bullshit. If PlayStation released that shit, it would be one of the highest out there.
I agree. I'm with you. I agree 100%. So we got to get Aaron out of here in a second, boys. But I do want to mention to Tekken 8. Were any of you guys? Because I know, Gamer, you're big on Street Fighter, which I grew up on Street Fighter too. So I definitely get where you're coming from with that. But another fighting game I was really big on for a long time now is Tekken. So you have Tekken 8. They got the story trailer they showed, and it's releasing January 24th next year. Are you guys excited for that?
I mean,
Tekken,
okay, so I like watching Tekken. I don't like playing Tekken. So I love tournaments. I love Evo. I like seeing the skill and everything, but it's just it never really was my game. Street Fighter was always my cup of tea by comparison, and for better or worse, it's like because there's like the folks like Soul Calibur, and they like everybody's got their own fighting game, and I mean Street Fighter just hit. And part of it probably has to do with the fact that when I was coming up, like when I was playing Street Fighter 2 Turbo, when it dropped,
man,
that was the absolute best that I was, and literally unstoppable. I mean, I'm not even, blowing smoke up your skirt, like literally a monster. There was not a human being on the planet that could touch me when, we were like, I'd go to arcades and local tournaments and stuff like that. I mean, just literally untouchable.
Who's your man?
Had I, Ken.
Oh, okay. So you would have we would have been going against each other all the time. I always picked Ryu.
Well, I actually let me take that back. I played Ken more because I'll put it to you this way. I had another buddy of mine also immaculate at Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And I did this thing with him, and I said, look, you pick who I play, because it's like I started beating him and he was getting pissed. I was like, you pick who I play. And literally every character he picked, I still beat him with it.
It's bad then when you ask him to pick the person for you.
And guess what? It was 36-0 before he finally quit.
Oh, wow.
36-0, right?
Oh, he's headstrong.
I mean, he was like, no, I'm going to beat you. And this guy was an amazing Street Fighter player. I mean, but I mean, like that point in the Matrix where Neo just all of a sudden one-handed and he's just like, blocking everybody. That's the way that I played. And I mean, we're talking 20 something years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, literally just peak. And it's like Sagat was my other, like, those are the two that I was always going between. Ken and Sagat were my guys, but I would play anybody and just mop the floor with them because I mean, we had it down. The only person that was as good as me was my brother. And that's probably why we got so good, because literally, like, we had it down to the frame. I mean, if one of us even just slightly made a mistake, that was a game over. And it's like, like in the game where it's like you could basically, it's like you could tie the rounds, right? We did 4 rounds double KO. 4 rounds double KO. I've never seen that anywhere before. 4 rounds double KO. So it was kind of like, okay, he's the only other person as good as me.
Yeah.
And I mean, just, oh my God, man.
That's crazy, man. No, I grew up on it, man. Me and my uncle, I still remember him slinging his controller around, his Super Nintendo controller around it, to smash it to pieces and then repairing it after being pissed. After being pissed when I would beat him or something like that. It's classic stuff, man. I really love Street Fighter. I fell off on it though, man, but I got to get back on it. That and Mortal Kombat, which we just saw. I'm interested in it as well.
Game.
Yeah, man. It's a fighting game reconnaissance, or not reconnaissance. What's the word I'm looking for? Renaissance. And then you have, we got possibly Killer Instinct possibly coming back too. So Renaissance.
Yeah, that was
Renaissance. And then you got Alan Wake 2 here, that was your most I guess your game you were most excited for at the show. What are you guys thinking on Alan Wake? Do you think it's going to be like, I don't know, because I heard some things too, by the way, that it ties into the Control world, like that's tied in. They're both in the same lore, but what's the name of that game, that Xbox IP that Microsoft owns? Quantum Break.
I know
it's not part of that anymore, right? They said it's not part of their world.
It's not part of their plans moving forward. Like they're not looking to.
I mean, it makes sense because they don't
further.
own that IP. So unless Microsoft reaches out to them, they probably can't do anything with it.
Yeah, Quantum Break was so good, yo.
Oh, dude, did you see the TV show that was tied into it?
Yeah. Yes, the show was amazing. Yeah, everything was good. The whole product.
Yeah, like because of the way that they had it, I was like, bro, this is like, it was so far ahead of its time. And I think it was undervalued and underappreciated. And it's sad that we don't, because it was truly innovative. It was really cool. You had the show tie-in.
Xbox One was ahead of its time. And that's the problem. That's what happened to it.
I mean, okay, hold on, pause. What do you mean it was ahead of its time?
Well, because we already saw that Crackdown demo, right? The original one.
Yeah.
Okay. That showed that Microsoft, their plan was that they didn't need to have a crazy powerful box because they were going to offset it with the cloud. And everybody was talking about how that's all fake and crap. Sure, except that we saw it actually working on the demo. And that's what happened. That's what sunk them, because they moved back. They took out the always online requirement that, guess what? Everybody's always online now. But back then it was this big hoopla, and they had to obviously always be the one that was the worst version. That's how they got sunk, bro. It was crazy. They had an amazing launch lineup. Amazing launch lineup. Yeah. And they had the biggest and best games going on at the beginning, and they still got crapped on because of the stupid freaking video that PlayStation did. This is how you share your games. I'm like, oh man, it's so stupid. Yo, the family plan, I got so many kids, bro. If that plan happened, we would all be set. We would all be set, yo. I would. Oh,
he's like, I got so many kids. I need that family plan. It sounds like for family real planning, brother.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my god.
I can't agree that, like, Sony used, they improvised, and they used that to their advantage, of course. But I think they put the nail in the coffin within their first 2 own presentations. Like they did that to themselves, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, but even still, how they showed it is one thing. That didn't change what they were offering. Right, like the fact that they came out with TV, great. That was a big meme, right? But let's be real. They were trying to show what was different about this generation of the console for them. They were doing something different, so they wanted to show that, and they did it not at E3. They did it before, so it wasn't when they were showing all the game stuff, because they were going to show all the game stuff, and we already know that their launch lineup was amazing. So they had everything to show us.
Also, strictly speaking, because I did a video on this forever ago. In that TV conference, every time that they were talking about TV, they were always talking about it as just an aspect of some other feature. So they'd be like, hey, for the snap feature, one of the things you can snap is like, you can snap the
sports or something
fantasy
like
sports
that.
team
Yeah.
scores whenever you're doing a watching TV, right? Or like when you use the voice commands to switch between things, one of the things you can switch to is TV. Like it was always just like such a tertiary aspect of what they were talking about, to the extent that even though the Xbox showcase where they were showing off their hardware was an hour shorter than the PlayStation showcase of that same generation, they showed the same number of games the PlayStation did.
Yeah, I think the presentation is what hurt them the most because it gave off the impression that games wasn't the focal point. And then
but I don't.
And Microsoft was just ahead of it. That's all it is. And I agree with C Money there.
They've been ahead of it, yo.
Yeah,
They were ahead of it.
Yeah, but
and
I
it
mean,
was bull.
like
And-
commercially, it was a dumb move, right? Like because they didn't read
that's
the
the thing,
market
though.
right.
Is
They
I don't
didn't
actually
read
think that
market
they did anything wrong, because if you go back and watch that show, they showed a bunch of games, they talked about games. Gaming was very much the focus of that show. It's for some reason people coming out of it, namely people in the media, came out of it and they were like, oh, all they want to talk about is TV. Meanwhile, at that exact same E3, PlayStation brought a dude out and announced the Powers TV show for their PlayStation TV app.
I remember
Like,
that. They sure
and
did.
no one talked about that.
Nobody
And
remembers
it's
that
like,
because it was Sony.
Yeah.
and it's like, hey, what are we talking about? Like, if you're strictly talking about, hey, they felt like they forgot about the games, their showcase was significantly shorter and showed the same number of games. The games looked just as good, because you have to remember back at the beginning of the PS4, PlayStation also didn't really have like the lineup that they have
That's
now.
true.
So like, if you go back and rewatch those two showcases next to each other, just the previous, like if you watch the announce events where they showed off the hardware and then the E3s together, you'll come out the other side like, literally, how did anyone think that this was about TV? Like, it
I think
genuinely
that-
will blow your mind.
It,
I promise you.
there's a bigger picture there, in my opinion, and I think that is the lasting taste of what Xbox did with the Xbox 360 generation, and how they really went away from their very sharp focus early on with their deals and their games and stuff like that. And when both, Xbox and PlayStation saw what Nintendo did, and they wanted to copy that and also try to ride on that wave, they didn't lose focus. I mean, PlayStation came out strong at the end, and Xbox merely released some exclusives, by the end of that generation, but they heavily focused on new things, which I think dragged them all the way down. So I thought, because I remember when that happened, I worked within marketing, video games, physical retail back during those years as well, and ahead of them. And I clearly remembered the vibe within the retailers and the consumers as well. And it was very obvious that Xbox has to be about games and nothing else. So for them to coming out of that and not only talking about games was one of the things that I think Gamer MT touched on earlier. Like, you got to have your ear to the ground before you go out and talk about these things.
And I mean, like, I get that, but also they're not the guys who announced a new TV show at their E3 press conference. You know what I mean? And talked about how great Netflix was.
I mean,
like, that was the E3
Yeah,
conference.
but you have to look
They,
at
they
the
actually did exactly that.
Not that yet.
With Quantum Break, they actually did exactly that.
They said that there was a
literally.
game that was
wasn't a
going to have
separate TV show.
like, that's a video game that
but
has a
yeah,
TV show built into it. Whereas PlayStation came out
and they're doing it right now
and
again.
talked about PlayStation came out and
I'll wait
specifically
too.
talked
Go ahead.
about how this Powers TV show that doesn't have a video game and was from a property that probably most people don't know about because it's a comic book that like is not very popular. Was coming out, and then they talked for I think maybe 5 to 8 minutes. It was specifically, and he came out and he talked about how they were the top platform for Netflix, and like talked about streaming services, and that was that same year's E3, and they talked about it for a very long time. And when you go back and you watch those, and then you look at the sort of vibe that came out of it, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it really genuinely doesn't. Like, I understand that, like, there was a lot of people who came out of that feeling a certain way, and I don't necessarily think that they're, like, wrong, but at the same time, it's like, I don't understand how so many people came to this conclusion that just factually was not there.
I think
Well,
it was
I
a,
think
I think it was a
it's
few
after the
things.
fact.
I think it was a few
It's-
things. On top of it was hindsight now, right? Because
Yep.
but at the time, I think like Aaron was saying too. It's like we needed to be game only focused, and when they kind of brought the TV aspect in there, it felt like they were going the wrong direction. Then I'll tell you
And
the
they
bigger
doubled
issue.
down on the DRM and the Connect.
That's what I was
Yeah.
going to. The bigger
Oh, my
issue
bad.
was the
Yeah.
Connect and the DRM. Those right there, and
Yeah.
coupled with the price, that is what really hurt them. And then
Oh, yeah.
PlayStation was wise to capitalize on it and say, "Oh, we're not packaging the camera we were going to package. Now we're $100 less." So things like that. And hey, this is how you share games and all that. That's what really hurt them more than anything, I would say.
Yeah, but it's because that Sony wasn't moving forward. They were just doing the same. Where Xbox was trying to move forward. Guess what they did with the Kinect? It was supposed to see everything, right, all the time, and you'd be able to. It knows when you're in, so it logs you on automatically without having to do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people have a problem with that. I walk into my living room, my stupid Google, whatever the hell thing we have with the screen, looks at me and says, "Oh, see money, you're here." It's like, yeah, this is just part of our lives now.
How
right?
long will it be before your AI overlord just starts to frame you for crimes, though, see money? You see what I
Bro,
mean?
only a matter of
Listen,
time. It's already happened.
I'm wondering
I just
if
want
I
an
can
AI
partner with my AI and commit those crimes. You know what I'm saying? Let's see how we can make that money, right? Make it useful, and let's start finding the ways that I can
Aaron's
have infinite
voice.
time to play games.
Yeah, use Aaron's voice.
There we go.
They're like, yes, give me all the mood. That means give me all the money. So,
That's
there you
it, man. But they've been ahead of the time. They knew where things were going, and they said, let's do it now and get ahead of it. But everybody started crying about it. And now we're literally in the same place that they were going.
Yeah.
Alan Wake 2,
So true.
y'all all are pumped for Alan Wake 2. What did they literally show during this freaking video? It's live action
Live action.
mixed with their game. Ooh.
Well, that's a
I guess
Remedy
Quantum
thing, though.
Break doesn't look that bad anymore, right? Having
Yeah.
live action
Yeah.
in the game, right?
But it was a remedy
But-
thing back when Xbox was doing it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
So
it's
they're-
time.
they
It's time.
did
I
it
think
always.
it's time, and it's like you said. I agree with you 100%. That it's a matter of Microsoft, I think, being ahead of the curve, and we weren't ready for that yet. I think most people weren't ready for that yet, and now it's like
Well,
it's the norm.
You know what the
Yeah.
problem is? Microsoft should have, instead of, it's the same thing, right? And I hate to even use the example, but it's like anytime you try to force somebody to do something, look at COVID, right? I'm not going to go into details.
Yeah.
We're not going to have that discussion.
Yeah.
But anytime you try to force people to do something, they're going to rebel against it,
True.
right? So when you force the Connect
Mhm.
onto people, instead of saying, hey, we're going to sell the console at this price. If you want to buy the Connect, this is all the cool stuff that you can do with the Connect. And then if they just, basically bump the power a little bit on, the Xbox, the base model, because they were happy shooting for 900p, or 1080p max, right? Like that was where they kind of sat, because they were like, well, the average person still has like 720p TVs, and 1080p TVs are just kind of like now coming. So they were trying to hit that, sweet spot of like not, landing above where they needed to be. But like if they had parceled it out and they had done it like, it's like, hey, or hey, you got to connect. You understand how cool it is, but they never did really release a whole bunch of killer apps for it, right? So then all of a sudden you're coming into this, and now it's
Much like VR, I would argue.
But that's the point, right? That's what they messed up, because they had people who wanted to make Connect games. It was studios who did them. Dance Central, all those stuff, they wanted to. The problem is when they took it out, when they uncoupled it,
I'd be like,
it wasn't
Hold
there.
on for 1
that
second,
was the
guys.
headshot that you needed to catch, and it was amazing because you had that virtual assistant and it was just doing its thing. And I'm like, if they had just had a little bit more juice, and if they had uncoupled it and said, look.
Hey, Doc, I think you're going in and out for a bit. That's why I thought I heard that.
Yeah. He's like, it is cutting.
Yep.
Yeah, my mic just cut off.
Oh,
Turned off. Sorry about that. But
Oh no.
the whole entire bottom line that I was just trying to say is, it's like if they had just uncoupled everything, we would have been in a better spot ultimately, and allowed people to see the value in it. Because I loved having the split screen. Like you'd be able to tell it stuff, and you could have a TV show running in the background while you were playing a game and all that stuff. I mean, that stuff was cool. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, but that's the point though. Like they didn't want to decouple it, because if they had it in there, then people would use it, right? The reason why VR is not a thing is because
It's not
you have
coupled
to
with
buy
it.
it separately.
Yeah.
If PlayStation 5 came with a pair of VR goggles attached to it and it cost $700, but it was with every system, then guess what's going to happen? there's going to be a big chance that companies are going to make it because they know everybody who has a PlayStation has one of those things, right?
Yeah, but
Same thing that they were doing with the Kinect.
Yeah, but
that's what they were trying to do.
Didn't Microsoft ultimately uncouple the Kinect because
They
it was
did.
so unpopular?
Well, but they changed
was getting really
everything.
mad at him.
No. It wasn't because it was unpopular. It was because of the pricing. And as soon as they did that, they messed up so many companies who were trying to make games for it. If you had a Kinect,
Was
on the
there even
360?
one killer app? Was there even one
Yeah,
killer
Dance
app?
Central. Absolutely.
Oh,
Dance
come
Central
on,
was fire.
man. Oh my god.
I mean, but they didn't have.
Okay.
Well, I mean, listen. Obviously, we don't
I mean,
know
I'm
the
talking
future.
like you
We don't know the
would
world
claim,
that
not-
would have worked.
I don't know. I
You
don't know
know,
if
I mean,
I don't know if I would call
again,
Dance
it didn't
Central
happen.
that. Listen, I don't know if
Don't
I
get
would
me
call
wrong.
anything a killer app on that necessarily. Again, I think it was. I think it's just a matter of the thing being ahead of its time. I don't think we were ready for that type of thing. Listen, I don't care for VR now, so that just won't
That's
talk
true.
to me. That connecting all of that, I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was novel, but it's not something I'm like, oh man, I gotta use this Connect, or man, I can't wait to put this VR headset thing on my head and look like an idiot for an hour swinging around at the air. Like I can't. That's not for me. I'm more of a traditional gamer, so. But I mean, to each their own on that. I think the general consensus that we can all agree on is the pricing and the DRM were the major issues overall.
Those were the things that people were really concerned about. The DRM thing ended up being a thing that's just like commonplace now, unfortunately. But the pricing was a big
What was
issue.
the price?
Yeah, it's
Literally
just they
the
were
same
100
price that the systems came out.
Yeah.
It's because
they
PlayStation
were-
was cheaper.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that the number was too high; it's that the number was higher than PlayStation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
That's
that
exactly
combined with the fact that they were also slightly weaker was just like that was for me the real thing that ended up hurting them. And then you know, first party ended up being a problem later down the road.
True.
But if they would have kept to it and actually just said, F it, let's see what happens, you're still going to have people who are going to buy because, again, realistically speaking, it was sure it was $100 more, but it wasn't hard to see that the launch lineup was amazing. There was reasons to buy it.
Yeah.
And it's, again, I was going to
Well,
always
yeah.
get it because I
Straight
can't
up,
get
I mean,
Halo anywhere else. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with what you're
Halo
saying.
fans, Gears fans, it's all going to do
If
it.
Microsoft
Just
did
that-
not have the pockets that it does, they would have closed the shop after
Oh,
the
yeah.
Xbox.
I agree with you
Yeah.
there. They would have closed doors after the Red Ring of Death. That would have done it.
Look, I'll be the one to say
Well,
I'm
yeah,
glad
that
that
would've
Kinect
been
is
just
dead.
sucks.
I'm glad that thing's dead.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
want
listen,
any first party working on games that I don't care about, and I never cared about Kinect. I wish
Yeah.
that Sony's first party was not working on games as a service and was not working on VR titles.
I agree with you 100%.
But here we are.
100%
and it's the
agree.
exact same thing with Kinect. Like
Yep.
I don't want Rare making more Kinect games. I want them making more Sea of Thieves. You know what I mean?
Agree. Make more traditional type games in
And
general.
so I'm glad it's dead. I think you are right though, C-Money. Like if they had stuck to it, I think it would have become more popular in the same way that I think when PlayStation potentially continues sticking with VR will become more of a thing. But I don't think it would have ever been something I wanted.
Well,
for
I mean,
either of them.
hybrid games were dope because, like, if you remember in Rise, you would say, to Fire, right? That was dope to me. I always thought it would be so cool if you can control conversations just by speaking, right? If you didn't have to have a mic on and you can just at one point get to the point where you can just like talk to the game right there and have things happen. Like, I thought that was dope. And
That is
you just
cool.
don't know where it could have gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, they
Yeah.
did start with that. And you don't know how far they would have taken it, and then if they would have done that, maybe we would have got another evolution going into the series levels of console with the way AI is now and all this stuff. Who knows what could have happened, right? And that's the problem, right? It's the unknown. Now, I will say that, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm ultimately glad that this all happened because Phil is the one that we want in charge, and he took it and did a whole bunch of other cool shit that's
Without this
ultimately
loss,
really
they
dope.
wouldn't have done the things that they've been doing so far this generation. So I think,
Exactly. So ultimately, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it just sucks that, like, at that moment, honestly, the real thing that sucks is that fucking family plan, bro. I want it. Bring it back.
Yeah.
Just give me the family plan.
Because I fully agree that like they really messed up at the launch, and we're very far off topic at this point. But I fully agree that they messed up at launch. The original point that I was trying to make was just like, I think it's really stupid that because we never hear about, like, when people talk about how bad the launch was, they don't talk about like, oh, you can't share your used games. They don't talk about DRM. It's always they bring up the TV thing, and I'm like, bro, literally, Pete Hines was on an interview like last month where somebody asked him, like why Xbox wasn't doing more TV shows, and he just looked at them like, why do people keep asking me that? Like, why are people asking me for TV now, dude?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening?
Yeah,
Yep.
times have changed, but
It's crazy.
to slip off of that, I want to kind of get Aaron his last thoughts.
Yeah, the stream.
Oh yeah,
Oh
The stream
no.
is buffering.
OBS is
OBS?
acting up. Yep, it's back on now.
Oh, there we
Oh
go.
yeah,
there we
it's,
go.
it's
It's
back,
back on. Yeah. Sorry about that in the chat. The OBS disconnected for a second, but it's back on.
Yeah.
But Aaron, what would
OBS
you
be
say
tripping
was
sometimes.
it does? What would you say it was your game of the show that made you smile the hardest? You didn't smile, but it was a little bit out. And I don't want to hear about the guy you met. Just what game made you smile? He's
No,
like
no,
he's kind of depressed.
I
Like,
already
It's
yeah.
like
No.
there was a lot of guys who made me smile. I can't think of any
Because
games then.
I
He
think
said,
I think it is. I think it's important to understand that, and this might be too late to say this now. Like what we're seeing during the opening night live is not even the tip of the iceberg. It is the drop on top of the tip of the iceberg. It is what the companies have paid for to be shown during his, the partnership they have with Colin Messon and the Gamescom organization as well as Jeff Keighley. So,
Right.
like those games, that's not what Gamescom is. It never has been. It never will be. It will maybe hint at stuff that will be playable and stuff that will be, available for the media or even the consumers on the show floor. But what's really going on and what really gets me going, of course, is the things that I have been playing behind closed doors and the hands-off demonstrations and the interviews with the developers for upcoming games, and stuff like that. And a lot of it is still under embargo, but some things I can talk about. And and there's still one whole day left, of course.
Yeah.
So it depends. Like the games that I can say what games I've been playing, but I can't talk about what I've been, doing and so forth. But
What games
specifically
have you
during the
been
Wednesday.
playing?
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So the
You
ones
didn't-
that I would mention, of course,
yeah.
is say again.
No, go ahead. I thought you wanted to go into name the game. I'm like, name one of those games.
Oh yeah, no. So I've been playing Cat Quest for the magazine. Haunty was a cool game. That is a game that I can talk a little bit about. It is an indie game, upcoming indie game coming up next year, about you being a ghost, trying to haunt different things in a world or in a setting where you don't really understand what you're doing there. It is a top-down kind of very artistic vibe. I interviewed the composer who has been with the development since the beginning and stuff like that. So it's very, very artistic stuff, very indie stuff, very touches on the same tunes like Journey and those types of games.
Nice.
So that's really up my alley, and it's coming up next year. They're targeting all platforms as well, but it has a very unique art style. So that one was pretty cool, and I think that struck the most because there's so much sound going on. Everybody's talking all around, these companies meetings and so forth. So just to have something that is that soothing, that was pretty cool. And then of course Mortal Kombat, and this is of course a thing that I can talk about, and I can talk about my interview with Ed Boon as well.
Nice.
And the thing that I really loved about Mortal Kombat 1, of course, is them continuing with the I overused that word, I know, but I'm trying here. So the campaign mode, of course, and the campaign mode has this wonderful, super stupid humor and narrative, just like the 9, 10, and 11, in my opinion. Just like, I'm not sure if you have seen it yet, but I bet because we were allowed to capture everything that we played, so even if we can't show it here on the screen right now, I bet you can find some media on it online. And it's specifically you being, Raiden. Raiden is the new fighter. Raiden is the new chosen one, as we saw in the trailer as well, and not Liu Kang, because Liu Kang is the fire god of sun and everything and whatever. But being Raiden in the opening of the game and setting up the story, Raiden and Kung Lao, like they do the exact same buddy cop kind of chemistry between them, and they do a bet. They're working in the fields, and they do a bet like, so who fills their carriage first? Oh, the one who loses will buy the other one a lunch. And then when they come to the restaurant and they greet this old lady who has been taking care of these two young boys ever since they were kids, they haven't decided like who actually won the bet, and they sit there in the restaurant. Everything is peaceful, and and they're like, "No, I won. No, you won. Hey, let's settle this. Let's fight on it." And you just see these guys standing up in the middle of the restaurant, like with everything is so wholesome, and then they start to beat the shit out of the shutter, and just blood gushing everywhere. It's so stupid,
Yeah.
and they are doing it so like they are so aware of how stupid it is, so they don't even try to hide it. They just put it out there very serious. Like, of course, these guys are going to beat the shit out of the shutter, and that's going to be the first fight you do. And I just love that stupid kind of writing. It's so beautiful, and it really makes me laugh and enjoy that. And I think the campaign, one of the things I asked Boone, of course, was like, how crazy can you be? And of course, I asked him like, you've been doing these games for 30 years now, and you guys decided to reboot the whole thing. Like, will you do this for 30 years more? Like, and of course he said, if we will do the games, like if Mortal Kombat will be around in 30 years, I will not be part of it. But at the same time, you can see like this is his baby. Like it surely is, and it seems like it feels like he's still really enjoying to do these games and tell these stories and mix everything up again and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's I'm super much looking forward to just like grabbing that controller and playing that campaign all the way through. And then also we tried out the invasion mode, which is a top-down kind of looking like the overworld map from Super Mario World games and Super Mario Bros. 3. And it's a different take of what we saw with the crypt in the earlier games. But I do think that, whatever they were going to try, I'm not that confident that it will be, for me specifically, has that longevity as I think the multiplayer, of course, the versus modes and the competitive modes, as well as the campaign. I think those are the strongest from my experience compared to the crypt. And whatever the invasion mode does, it has, one thing it has for itself is that it lets the game tell small stories and put in some sense of humor to it. Like the opening thing, the first island we played in the invasion mode was Johnny Cage Mansion. So you hear Johnny Cage being the narrator, like, so this is my mansion, like just an ordinary luxurious mansion, like nothing else. Like, sure, some things are weird, like that portal in my bedroom, but whatever, and stuff like that. So they're trying to pull off some small, jokes and some hints and stuff like that, but it's not tied to the main campaign.
Okay.
But man, the game really looks good, and I had to also just ask him to clarify, like, what is it? Are we talking? Is it Unreal 4? Because some might say it is, and some might say it's looking to be totally different.
Yeah.
And he specifically said it's pretty much Unreal 4.7, 0.8 maybe. So like it's almost there. So they're doing a longer transition. So it is on the basic, Unreal 4 still, and it's crazy how good the game looks. It really, yeah. I mean, you can see it for yourself, of course.
Yeah.
And more to that
Why
point,
not
I
go
think.
all the way, man?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's go to Unreal 5. Oh.
I mean,
right there.
the work that they put in for this, you got to remember when they released 11. That's years back. So this development cycle for them, with the implementation of all these new mechanics and stuff like that, and the tool sets, it is 4 years. I think, isn't it 4 years now since they released Mortal Kombat 11, or is it 3? It is a long ass development cycle though. But yeah, it looks super good. I'm super much looking forward to that campaign again, and just playing around with that stupid narrative and the kind of B action movie quality that it has. But it's almost like it's a little bit on top of that as well, in my opinion. I really enjoy those campaigns. And then after that, of course, Ultros, an indie game, Swedish developers. We'll have them on the podcast later on and stuff like that. But it's a Metroidvania with a lot of psychedelic influences that was first shown during the PlayStation Showcase earlier this spring. And then after that, I played the Plucky Squire.
Love Plucky Squire, man. Look, I can't wait for that.
Oh,
Can't
that
wait to
one
play
looks
that
good.
Yeah,
That one looks really
Yeah.
good.
looks really good.
Let me
yeah.
let me take that back. I did not play the Plucky Squire.
You set us up and you disappointed us, Aaron.
Yeah, but
Yeah, what happened?
sorry.
He's like suckers.
Yeah, right.
No. It is 4:10 a.m. here. I got the first meeting in 5 hours. But listen, so
that's why I'm
the
trying to get you
Plucky
to
Squire-
sign out really quick, Aaron. But you are
But, hey,
fairly
no,
long-winded.
we-
But
really quick for
listen.
Aaron.
This is
right.
listen to these guys cutting me off right now, making me laugh. And shit. So the Plucky Squire was hands off with the developers, so I got a lot of information. I saw a lot of cool shit, whatever, and things that I can't talk about. So let's just skip that. And then Undisputed and Tekken, and this is quite like for me. I played Tekken with Michael Murray. You know the guy?
No, I'm not too sure. Who's Michael Murray?
Well, have you ever seen an interview with the creator of Tekken?
I'm sure I have.
Mm-mm. No.
Yeah, and he has his interpreter with him.
Oh, okay.
That's Michael Murray.
Oh, so Michael
and,
Murray's the interpreter. Okay.
And the
I like
fortunate-
how Aaron did all of that just instead of saying his interpreter.
I
Listen,
know,
why
right?
do you
I
do
know.
it?
Three paragraphs deep. Just
You know what's
tell
funny?
Why
us
do
I
you
watch those
do
videos
that?
And the
guy
interpreter's
who's
there.
saying-
I wonder. I always wonder to myself, are they actually interpreting, or they just know the script
Translator.
and just saying
No, my
it?
bad. My
You know what
bad.
I'm saying?
Translator. This is me finding the words when I'm
Yeah.
super dozy.
No,
but
we
here's the
knew
thing,
what
though.
you meant. I thought that I was
Yeah.
thinking it in my head, even though you said that.
Yeah, but here's the thing,
Yeah.
though. Michael Murray was the producer on Tekken 7 and is the producer on Tekken 8. Like, this guy has been around and developing the games since years back. So I never knew that. I always thought that he was only the translator. But of course, so that's whenever they are out and about and doing these interviews and he speaks on things, he knows exactly how the game is built. And so he knows exactly what to say. So yeah, I mean, he's
So he worked
well
his
deep
way
in
up.
development.
So he basically
I
worked
mean,
his way up in the
yeah.
mailroom, right? Like,
I
he
mean,
went
he-
from translator to game producer. That's impressive.
I mean, yeah, and they've been working together for over a decade, I would guess. But here's the thing, though. The only thing that we were able to play when playing Tekken 8 was a versus mode. So I couldn't, of course, sit there and play versus against nobody. So lucky for me, he was accidentally sitting there and could play me. And of course, I didn't win. How could I? But it was
you
just a
could
cool
be
thing
better
that I
than
learned
him.
about
It's
it.
possible.
No.
I would beat his ass.
I
don't
don't
know.
think I wouldn't think that's possible though.
Uh,
But yeah,
I would pick
Cash-
King. I'd have been
yeah.
kicking him. You know how King does that low leg
Yeah.
kick that makes your the,
Yeah,
the
you'd be
opponent
jacking
leg
him.
hurt. I would have cheated him so bad. He'd been like,
pause.
"Would you stop doing that?" Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. I would have been
But yeah,
jacking him up.
Yeah.
Let's add that last part
Yep.
to it. There you go.
no, but it was
There
just a
you
cool
go.
thing because I think that a lot of people, including within the media, like have always just seen him as the translator, and
Yeah.
like no, but that guy is well deep in development and he have really been part of the design and the production as well. So
He's
shout
the-
out to him.
He's the trans producer. Wait a minute. No.
Hey,
no,
man.
No, that's not.
And
Is
you
it
know.
What? No, you just got
Why?
kicked, bro. You
Why?
entire-
Why? I don't understand.
Wow.
Uh,
Why did you have to put there?
You know, I'm trying to give him his due credit. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Due credit.
Moving right
Okay.
along.
But Aaron,
so- and
Aaron,
then
I know
we
you got to
played
go though. So because also we
hey,
have to.
man, let me bring you there. Okay, hey.
Oh,
Hey, give him another
let me
30
not-
minutes.
He doesn't
bro.
want
He's
to
still
go.
got to
No,
stop by.
Hey, no,
how much
we
more
don't-
do you have to bring us, Aaron? Because you have to get some sleep, and I have to move on to the next subject so we can kind of close this
Hey,
out.
man, I'm not the one who's been sitting here talking about shit that went down 10 years ago between Xbox and PlayStation. Come on, guys.
Wow.
That's some spiciness right there from Aaron. All right.
Spicy
Hey,
Aaron.
hey,
Come on,
listen,
spicy Aaron.
Xbox.
No.
Xbox deserves
you're
to be
right.
spoken about.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Right?
No,
That
so-
was a
so- so
time
real-
that doesn't get what
yeah.
is deserved.
It's right.
No, but real quick though, let me save that resolution and frame rate breaking announcement to the next podcast I'm gonna be on for Dark Tide. So you guys be safe and take care.
Wait. So
No, you wanted me to go, right?
I want you to give
Did
a
I drop
proper.
now?
No.
I want to get a proper sign out, Aaron. Aaron, thank you for being here with us, brother, and going on your very well known long diatribes, and gracing us with
Holy
gracing
shit.
us with your
Yeah, but
footage,
interesting
and your
though.
knowledge,
That's
and
the difference.
you know what I just
Aaron. They're
realized?
interesting.
all
You
of
know
that.
what I
good
just
information.
realized, Umbra?
What's
you
that?
know what I just realized?
What's
that
that?
you actually thought I was joking there. I actually have some breaking news, but and I wanted to be petty about
Oh,
it. But
go
yeah,
ahead.
you
Tell
actually
us-
thought I was.
Tell
Oh,
us your
no.
breaking news. Tell us, okay.
Go ahead.
No, I just Googled it and I couldn't find it anywhere except a earlier announcement regarding this specific topic from 2022 that is false
Oh,
and that is not true.
okay.
So the game Dark Tide, Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, the game
Yeah,
that
big fan
came
of
out
Warhammer.
last year and should have came out on the Xbox last year as well,
Right.
from Fat Shark Studios. It is coming out October
Yes.
4th, which was announced yesterday.
Yes.
And it will run at 1080p 30 FPS on the Series S, not 1440p 60 as they claimed in 2022. It will run. They're targeting a 1440p 60 FPS performance mode on the Series X, as well as the quality mode for 4K 30 on the Series X. And yeah, it's just a question that I asked. And they hadn't talked about it earlier, so I
Yeah, it's been a while for
just
that.
a small, yeah.
Yeah, that was part of our news roundup, but you took that one out of there. That's all right. That's all right. It's
Oh yeah,
it's okay. It's all right.
There you go.
That's all right.
There you go.
We're going to skip past that one on the news roundup, but thank you for breaking that to those that
man.
didn't know. And yeah, but
Listen,
you're something
don't-
else, man.
Hey man, you got to let me know though. Did you find that somewhere online?
What's
Did
that?
you find that online? The frame rates and the resolution online?
I didn't see the frame rates
Not
part.
that specifically.
Yeah, I didn't get that specific. So yeah, that I'll credit to you.
Yeah.
How about that?
No, credit to you. This is not my show.
Well, you brought it up.
Hey man. Hey, man.
Let me give you your credit, man.
Sure.
But Aaron,
I don't even know
listen,
what's
man,
happening anymore.
you have
Appreciate
to. I don't either. You got to get you some sleep, Aaron. So listen, I want to thank you
So-
for being here with us, man, and giving, like I said, giving your footage for us to highlight and show everything that you saw on the show floor, and your thoughts, as long-winded as they can be. Thank you very much for them. We appreciate you being here and for all the help you helped me do behind the scenes for the show as well. So
Yeah, you've actually been really, really helpful.
absolutely. So could you tell the good people where they can find you and what you will be up to, like your podcast, things of that nature? Make sure you mention all of that. And the links for Aaron, by the way, to his Twitter or X, whatever the heck they call it now, is inside of the description, as well as the other guests.
All right. So can I go now?
Yes, please.
Can
I
go?
Aaron, it was a pleasure, man.
Right.
Hey,
It was
man,
a pleasure.
talking to you all. And so I think that, when you play Marvel Snap, and right now the meta is, of course, with the destroy
Oh,
builds,
no.
don't go down that path. Like, find yourself a good Punisher deck to
Get him out of here.
punish the
Play him
destroy
off.
But no, all jokes aside, we've been trying to get this thing going, and of course I'm dozy as hell. So you might as well just grab me as a drunk fellow tonight. But I'm sorry if I'm too dozy. I'm
No,
just
you're
gonna go to
good.
sleep because tomorrow morning I'm gonna play a couple of games. And man, shout out to you guys for keeping it down and for holding it down. And shout out to you guys for making your podcast grow. Good luck to you all, and I appreciate for letting me speak. Although I have made some time measurements and find out that I have spoken around 3% so far of the time. So, there we go.
He did some time
much love.
measurements.
Yeah.
You know what?
He's been keeping stopwatches this whole time.
Right.
He didn't know.
He's like, okay, that accounts for
No.
C Money talked a lot. I'm only at 3%. No,
There you go, guys.
thank you
Oh,
for being
guys,
here,
take care.
brother. You
Be safe.
too. Get some
All right.
sleep,
Aaron,
man.
be easy, bro.
Take care.
Nice meeting
Have a
you,
good
man.
one,
Take care, Aaron.
Yeah, same to you, man.
Later,
Take
brother.
care, buddy.
Yeah. So that was Aaron, everybody. If
Love
you
that
all
guy.
are not following him,
Good
please
guy.
please give him a follow on Twitter or X, whatever the heck you associate the name with now. And yeah, show him some love. He's a good dude.
I'm just gonna keep calling it Twitter until somebody tells me otherwise.
You know what? You're
It's
right.
Die on this
I'll
hill.
stick to that too. Right?
Yeah,
Fine.
it's Twitter.
Find him on Twitter, and he also streams games sometimes too. And he has a podcast too. Yeah. So oftentimes though he will speak in his native tongue. So I don't know, you might not want to watch. I think he has some in English. I know he has some in English. He mentioned it earlier, but yeah, some of them are in his native tongue. But give him a follow on Twitter at the very least. And so we're going to move on to the news roundup, and we're going to try to get through this kind of briskly, and then wrap it up with the talk about the console wraps. Speaking of which, and Starfield
Yeah.
marketing. So because we're going over a bit again right now, and it's going to be kind of quick. But Danny,
Yeah,
what
we're
do we
gonna-
have? Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna pretty much fastball special through all this stuff. So let's keep it tight and concise. I got one here. Spider-Man 2 has been rated T14, and the reasoning for it is actually really funny. The reasons they gave is words such as prick and ass appear. Characters are shown trading unnamed drugs, probably weed. And cutscenes
Probably
feature
weed.
a character choked to death, a dead body turned over, and blood drops on a leaf. So it sounds,
It's blood on the leaf.
Pretty hardcore.
it just sounds, it's so hardcore, dude.
It's so hardcore, yo.
This is the exact kind of rating I expected for a story about Venom ruining people's lives. Some blood on a leaf, dude. They got him.
Man, can you imagine they're gonna do a rated PG-13 whatever, like Carnage in the next one, and it's just gonna be like, wait,
Oh
what?
my god, I
Oh,
hope
How do you
so.
live
I
up to the name
genuinely hope
Carnage
so.
without killing people?
I know. That's what I wanted. That's a good question, actually. I also wonder how they're going to approach it with Wolverine, seeing how they.
Wolverine's
Oh, no,
gotta
that's-
be
that's
M, right?
completely-
That has to be
yeah,
M, bro.
Yeah,
has
that's
to be.
M all
Has
the
to be
way.
M.
That's
Yeah.
M all the way.
He's gonna
I hope so.
dismember people.
I hope so.
Anyway, I just thought that one was funny. There was a second showcase last week, actually, from THQ Nordic. Not a whole lot came out of it, but basically they showed off Alone in the Dark
Nothing.
again, the remake of
Oh,
that.
there you go.
There's a prologue demo sort of thing that's playable now. That's I think starring David Harbour based on the marketing. I haven't played it, but it looks interesting. Got a release date of October 25th. South Park announced a new game called Snow Day. That's a 3D co-op multiplayer game that doesn't look particularly good. It's definitely not in the
Literally
same
that
vein
old
as the
Nintendo
good
64
ones.
game, bro. Did
Yeah,
you see
it
the Nintendo
doesn't-
64 game back in the day.
it
It looks
doesn't
like
look
that's
great.
cool. That's the snowballs. It's horrible.
Yeah, Titan Quest and Outcast, the game that you probably forgot about because why would you remember it, are getting sequels. Recreation is a Hot Wheels looking game where you build tracks and then race on them. There's a really cool strategy RPG called Last Train Home that looks like it takes
I
place in
remember
sort
that.
of a pseudo, like maybe Russia or Nazi Germany. I couldn't really tell.
Yeah.
And basically, it's like an XCOM, but your base is the train, and then I don't know. It looks really interesting. I'm genuinely really curious about
I
it.
do remember that. I think they've changed it some from the last time I saw it.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah,
It
I
used to
think
be
so
like this
too.
cloudy looking thing at first. Like you didn't quite have a land mass at first, I think. And now it's like
Maybe.
I think
Yeah.
so. It's been a while though. It's been a while since I saw it, but I
Yeah,
believe that was
I
the
know.
case.
That was one of the only things that like looked really good. And I'm obviously cutting a lot out because the thing ran like 2 hours and they did a lot of talking. But there was
Yeah.
also they showed us first not gameplay but CG for the Gothic 1 remake that they announced a little while ago. That looked pretty interesting.
That looks pretty good.
And then probably the thing that most people are taking out of this is they announced a Last Ronin game, which is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story where there's one left, and people who I've heard talking about this don't want to spoil who the one that's not dead is. I guess that's a big deal, but
Yeah.
I've never read it, and I've known it since like day -1 of my life. So, but I won't spoil it here.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, they said there was a screen that said they've got 20 games they had 20 games in development that are still unannounced for 37 in total. So THQ Nordic is just like
Wow.
really putting out a whole lot of just like really AA games.
That's pretty good.
And that was their showcase. I guess Embracer also canceled a bunch of stuff right before that. So there might have been other stuff that they were going to show that they didn't.
Yeah, Embracer actually did come out, and we heard news they had a bunch of canceled games. Fortunately, though, I don't think games like the AAA games like Tomb Raider has been affected, so that's a good thing.
No, you would hope not. Although
Well, that's
that
'cause
team
they
is
got a
helping out with
partner.
the Xbox game right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're necessarily working on one right now. But actually, in the same news, we found out finally who the $2 billion mystery partner for Embracer Group that backed out and caused them to have to like do huge cuts and
Name that Pokemon. Who was it?
go into a. It was the Saudi-funded Savvy Games Group. Savvy Games is a subsidiary of the Saudi Public Investment Fund, I think it's called, and they changed the name to Savvy so that people wouldn't know that it was the Saudi Arabian government.
Wow.
But yeah, I guess they had a. I don't know why Lars Wingfors over at Embracer Group would take the Saudi government's word on it, because it was a verbal agreement, not even a contract, to the point where he like made all of his business plans banking on that. So I don't know. It seems like a rough choice all around. I guess I'm glad that they're not partnering with the Saudi Games Group, but also like I really wish that they hadn't backed out, because there's a lot of people losing their jobs and that really sucks.
Yeah,
That part does suck, but I mean, like, honestly, it's like, I mean, I don't want to get into a whole bunch of politics here, but ultimately, I'm glad.
We literally don't have time for it.
Yeah.
No. I'm just glad that this deal didn't work out, and ultimately, they'll probably be better off for it. I have a
Probably.
feeling. See, that's the thing. There's a lot of different groups out there that are kind of sitting there that are needing like $1 billion, $2 billion. Well, who has money like that? They could just.
That's what I'm saying.
Literally just write the check.
There is a lot of rumbling
Microsoft.
that this is going to lead to a sort of a fire sale or a garage sale, as it were, of different teams and IP possibly. A lot of the ones that people are naming because they're the sort of big standout ones are like, obviously Crystal Dynamics and Eidos and Gearbox. Unfortunately, I think those are the ones that are probably the least likely to be sold, but also like it's this weird combination of like Embracer, probably those are the ones they want to hold on to the most because they're the most likely to make money, but also those are the ones that people are going to make offers for. So I don't know. We'll see.
And they're going to also cost the
It's
most
a really
money.
interesting spot. Oh yeah, but like they bought the Western branch of Square for like 300 million. So if Microsoft rolls up with like 1 billion, they'll be rolling in it. They'll be thrilled.
I'm almost expecting Microsoft to step in, but then I'm also
I
expecting
think they'll do
honestly,
something. Whether they make a purchase or they like take long-term partnerships, I could see them. And this is something that's been thrown around a little bit in the sort of aftermath of this, is I could actually see them buying specifically Eidos and Crystal, not because I think they'd be easy sales, but I think they would want to protect their business ventures of like partnering with those teams. And at this point, I don't think that there's any other way to ensure anything from Embracer Group, just given and how.
But it feels like
mismanaged they've been for the
Embracer
last,
was leading
ever
up to this. Like it's almost like they bought all this stuff just to make their value go as high as possible, for that they can.
It does kind of
and
feel
they
like
get the
that.
stuff cheap.
It does feel like that. You're
and
right.
then
You can go back on
need
my
this-
personal YouTube channel and watch multiple videos where they're making a lot of purchases, and I'm like, I don't see how this is going to work. And I'm not going to say that I feel good that I was right, because like everything kind of sucks for them. But like, if me, dumb me in middle of DFW, Texas, could figure it out, I'm shocked that they couldn't.
Yeah, but their whole entire business model was to be able to partner up with people, right? Like they were like, "Hey, we're going to buy the IPs, then we'll do."
That was a big part of it.
If you put the money in, then we'll give you exclusivity. That was what their business model was.
Is-
Which, I mean, theoretically, that could work, but when the Saudis backed out, like, we'll see what happens
Two
next.
biggest things that they were banking on making money off with all the acquisitions was they were going to make a lot of money off of back game sales, like games that came out a long time ago that are going on like Steam sales or whatever. And then also they were planning on sort of pimping out their studios to other people as like either support teams or like, hey, we own this IP. Do you want us to make a game for you of this? That sort of thing. So it was very much they were at no point really looking to make games for themselves, with the exception of the handful that they did to test to see if those IP were still viable. Like they did that with a couple of the the Dark Siders remastered or something, or no, the remastered for what was that? You know what I'm talking about.
I can't remember the name of it, but I do know what you're talking about. Also, so Eric Reed said the Saudis saw Lara Croft and said she's too hot, we won't buy.
She's hot, though.
Oh no!
Show too much skin. We're pulling out of this deal.
Yeah.
Cover her up.
In other bad news, oh sorry, go on.
No, sorry. I was just I I was afraid where this conversation was going to go.
Oh no, I was going to completely transfer.
Yeah, we're not going to
transition
go
away
too
from
far with it right now.
In other bad news, BioWare is also laying off a bunch of people. They laid off 50 people, which is I didn't look up the percentage, but it's a sizable chunk of their studio. They were never like a huge team. I think they were at their biggest about
49.
300.
I think it's 49.
Was it
people
49?
laying off.
Oh, I thought it was
49.
50.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
All the
okay.
reports just said 50, but they could have just been rounding.
Yeah.
They are rethinking how they develop games. Two of the things that came out of the sort of wake of this is they also said the Dragon Age Dreadwolf has been delayed pretty significantly internally. And Mass Effect, which they announced I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago at this point, is still in pre-production. So they are not doing great over there, and it really upsets me because they used to be my favorite studio that existed.
BioWare was top of the top line, and no question. I mean, they lost a lot of those people there too, so they're not even the
Yeah.
BioWare
They're all
we used to
gone.
love.
Every single one of them is gone.
Man, that is
It's
it's so
BioWare.
sad. It's so sad. I mean,
it's really
some of
They've
the
all
best
gone and
games of
started
all
new
time they've
games.
created. I mean, they even Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, didn't they make those? I believe so. So
I think so, yeah.
yeah, so like all of this is gone now, and it doesn't look good to lose that many people. It looks like
Yeah.
they could be, going the way of the dodo after a while. I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, I really think
It almost seems like there's no even point for them to exist because they're not even the company anymore.
It's
yeah,
sad.
it's really
man.
upsetting.
It
I
is
really
sad,
think
especially with Mass Effect.
if you're a publisher or something and you're looking to buy up like promising small teams, the former heads of BioWare have all gone and started new teams. Casey Hudson being the one that I think of immediately because he was, I think, the head. He started a studio called Humanoid, and they've started teasing sort of their first project.
Right.
And I think if I'm Phil Spencer, I'm getting in early on that team, and I'm like, maybe not buying the team because they're like brand ass new, but like definitely being like, hey, we can fund this.
Right.
Like,
Throw a few dollars their way. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what's so
more
sad
buzz.
about that too. Speaking of that in Microsoft, it still breaks my heart to know that they could have gotten BioWare back then but didn't. Because maybe this whole situation where they're at now would not be the case. Maybe they would be the BioWare of old.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah, if they hadn't been acquired, so it's kind of funny, right? The founder of BioWare was a physician.
Yeah.
Ray, I can't pronounce his last name, but anyway, he ended up leaving at some point. Like, I mean, dude made his money. He went back into medicine, and like after that, like, I mean, he's doing all kinds of stuff. But slowly, all the team that he had put together started filtering off. Anthem was the death blow. When Anthem didn't get the support that the studio needed for the vision that they had, and they had to rush the game out and like put it out. I mean, everybody was like, we are done with this. And they, EA was really, that's when EA was at its worst in terms of like the worst place to work, the most amount of crunch, the most amount of abuse. And so they literally gutted, their top talent. And, now it seems like they're trying to make amends and be like, look, yeah, we really screwed up and we need to do something better and blah, blah, blah. So,
yeah,
that
was always part of it that really irritated me about BioWare, because they made phenomenal games. There's no way around that. But near sort of the end time, like when they started really falling apart, so like the end of Dragon Age Inquisition going into Andromeda and Anthem and all that, just kerfuffle. They started using the term BioWare magic as a way to like sort of neg their employees into staying late hours, because they're like, this is what it takes to make a BioWare game. And of course, like everyone who worked there is a huge BioWare fan because they made amazing games. And so they really went downhill basically as soon as they went over to EA, and I feel like I can't completely 100% blame EA for it, because like they have other teams that don't do that. But yeah, they just really imploded after they were purchased. So it's a real bummer. I hope that all the people who are affected land on their feet, and I hope that we can get a new BioWare studio somewhere that is making games as good as that. And I don't know. I Dragon Age and Mass Effect are two of my favorite franchises of all times, and the fact that they are very likely sort of dead in the water is genuinely a punch to the balls.
It is really heartbreaking, especially and I know a lot of us in the chat, I know you guys, I know you all are big Mass Effect fans too, like Mr. Bushido. So it's scary to think like one of these gaming staples like Mass Effect could be in danger. Like we might not
It's
get
gone.
that anymore.
No, I don't think it's permanent. I mean, it's too big of the IP.
Someone will
too
pick it up
valuable of an
eventually,
IP.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it'll
it's
be a
just
different
it may
team
not be this
entirely.
generation. Yeah, it could be a different generation. Like it could be the next generation of consoles or something like that. But you know, honestly, it's like we have friends in common that are actual game developers on the daily. Like that's how they pay their mortgage. And they're like, there's such a demand. None of these people are going to be jobless. I mean, they're all going to be able to find jobs very quickly because there's not enough developers out there.
Yeah.
So,
well, and to EA's credit, they said that they would be helping them find more positions within the company. But of course, they always say that, and then like, who knows?
And
But
then you
to
see
their credit,
everybody
they
on
are
Twitter
at least
like, "Hey, I need a
trying
job."
to say it. Yeah. Well, I mean,
EA
Bioware's an
EA
extremely
has
talented team. If there's any magic left in there, somebody wants it. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Listen,
EA's
sometimes something
well,
has to die for something else to be born, and they had their time. They
it's really
made great
unfortunate, but it's
games.
true.
A lot of our memories are with Bioware of the past, but the fact is that most of those people have moved on. Bioware is just a name right now. It's not the team that gave us those experiences.
Bino.
So
Yeah,
as
but
much
for a
as we
while.
want to be emotional about
BioWare in the name only.
Bioware, yeah, it's just a name right now. And at this point, there's a lot of other teams out there who are stepping up to the plate. I mean, I think of Playground Games and the fact that they're taking on a Fable and doing something that they never did, and it looks amazing.
It looks good.
So I mean,
it looks
it's just,
stellar, man. I'm excited
so.
as hell for that game.
Yes, sir.
yeah,
Me
Fable's
too.
gonna be
I just hope
crazy.
Dreadwolf
I'm
comes
so
out
glad.
before the whole studio implodes, and I hope it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope.
Oh, That's fingers crossed, man. That's fingers
Absolutely.
crossed. And if it does come out good, then we can look forward. That'll be the new BioWare that we
Yeah.
look forward to, right?
Mhm.
So that's going to be the deciding factor. Whatever their next game is, that's going to determine whether or not BioWare is a team that we need to even, hold in any type of high regard anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
If
I would
not,
love
if
for
it's a new
someone
game-
to scoop that IP out from under EA and give it to a team
I
that is, like
agree.
an established team. Obsidian, they're just my go-to team for good writing.
I would love to see
Obsidian's
Obsidian take
amazing.
on.
Oh,
it.
yeah,
that
Obsidian
would
is
be
An Obsidian,
crazy,
an
wouldn't it?
Obsidian Mass Effect specifically would be phenomenal.
Wouldn't it, man? Now you got the thought in my
Yeah,
head.
but
That'd be great.
Sorry.
what's the sequel? What's the sequel to their game that's coming out?
Outer-
That they had,
Outer
like,
Worlds, yeah, Outer Worlds
Outer
too.
Worlds 2.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I cannot wait
Can't
for that
wait,
game.
man.
Like, I
That'd be
mean,
good.
because Outer Worlds it had just the right amount of humor and like the storylines, and the game itself was great. Like, I mean, I think everybody loved it, but the trailer that they put out,
Yeah.
you remember the little teaser trailer? That was absolutely
Yeah.
masterful. It
I
was
loved it.
so
Really funny.
funny.
Yeah,
It
I
was
like, man,
unfortunately
it's like,
a promise that they were very upfront about, like, this is going to be a minute before you play this. But it was really funny. I like the trailer.
but what else did we have, Danny?
Yeah, in more positive news, we got some things coming out about Starfield, namely, number one, it has gone gold. And in the sort of,
Yes.
I mean, it went gold last week, but we weren't here last week, so here we are. There were, there's some little
Still
tidbits of
gold.
information that
Still
came
gold.
out as part of this. The preload is available on the 30th for Steam, and it's already available on Xbox. You can preload it now. Housing is available on all major cities and all major planets. There's 20 major companions with full black backgrounds and stories. Review codes went out last week, so people are already talking about it, and the embargo is on the 31st, so about 8 days ish from now.
It's
so
a week from today.
yeah, should be pretty
Yeah.
cool.
1 week.
And then the second piece about Starfield, just to throw it in here for the conversation, is it's being called by the developers and by Xbox. It's being called a starting gun. Jarrett West specifically from over there said, "This is, in my mind, the doorway, almost like a starting gun to what I think is going to be a multi-year relay race of first-party titles." So it seems like this is sort of the beginning. I mean, we've been saying it for a long time, but it's cool to hear them say it too. This is the beginning of a new era of Xbox, and it's going to be a lot more positive, hopefully.
In that
Yeah, I'm
same
excited.
interview, he literally says that Hellblade 2 is next up.
He names Hellblade, he
After
names
Forza.
Avowed, and then he's like, "Oh, and there's a bunch of other stuff I can't talk about." Ooh. It's like, all right,
Yeah,
dude.
but he does it like in order. Like he says, we got Starfield coming, then we got Forza, then you work towards 2024 with Hellblade, then Towerborn, then Avowed. So he
just
said
specifically name dropped
Hellblade first.
Towerborn.
Yeah, he did Towerborn after Hellblade. So Hellblade's coming up, man. I think that's going to be
Hey.
our big first
February
quarter
maybe.
game. Dude.
Yeah, I can
I
see
could
the
see that in
February.
the
Yeah.
February launch.
Mhm.
That'd be
Man.
interesting.
Yep, February or
I think
March,
so.
January direct.
So we'll hear
Jesus.
about it at the Game Awards.
Yeah,
you know?
maybe.
Maybe Jeff
Yes.
Keighley can finally get an announcement worth having.
Right. That would be
Oh,
it would be
keep it for their
perfect
own
for it to be
January,
there.
yeah.
It'd be perfect
I
for
know, it would
February.
make sense.
I mean,
They've
for the
shown it there what,
VGAs.
2 other times.
Absolutely. So I can see that. That makes sense.
Times before.
Can I ask you
that
guys a quick
association's
question?
there.
Sure.
I know that we're gonna talk about the wraps that are coming, right?
Yeah.
For the Xbox Series X.
Mhm.
Do you think that means that Microsoft will never release a limited edition console again?
We can, you know what? Let's
probably not this
bridge that
generation.
when we get to that topic really
Sorry,
quick.
yeah,
But we'll get there.
My bad.
No, you good.
Premature.
No, yeah, it'll be kind of quick anyway when
Uh,
we get to it. But yeah, absolutely. We'll talk on it really briefly.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot less to talk about here. I cut a lot of the sort of less important ones. One negative Xbox story we got here: the Xbox 360 store is shutting down. The report that I found for it listed 220 digital games that will disappear, but that list didn't actually make sense to me. Like, it wasn't accurate. So I don't know if that number is accurate, because there were a lot of games on that list, like Telltale, Batman, Brothers, Tale of Two Sons. Like, I wrote out a bunch, but I'm not going to read them all here.
Yeah.
I have, I think, 10 here that I know for a fact are backwards compatible because I own them currently on my Xbox, and I didn't, like, I don't recognize most of those games that were on that list, so I wouldn't be surprised if others of them were. So I don't know what the actual number is or how big of a problem this really is, but as a person who's really a fan of game preservation and all that stuff, this is not a good thing. But I think the fact that number is so low is really a testament to all the work that Xbox has done with their backwards compatibility and their sort of respecting our purchases in the past. It's unfortunate that a lot of these 360 titles are either games that the teams decided they didn't want to be made backwards compatible, or that they were unable to reach the a deal with the people who own the IP. Or honestly, I think a lot of them are also the Kinect titles, because those are not backwards compatible currently, so that probably exists there as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but
Yep.
so it's definitely a bummer. But
It was
it
well
was
past
gonna
that
happen
time.
It's just time
eventually.
moves on.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
well past it. Yeah.
eventually, and it's a shame that it's happening now, but it is
True.
happening now.
And we got time, so if you
I
all
don't
do
think-
want
I
to
think
catch
this
up
will
on
be the
those
last-
games, definitely grab some of them
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, I think
they're
you
not
got a
shutting it down
year.
now. It's shutting it down
Yeah,
next
it's a
year.
next year. Yep.
But it's like if that was the last generation that I think that needs to happen to, because everything
Yeah,
else should be
Everything
able
else
to
is
move
backwards
it's gonna
compatible
move
entirely,
forward.
and that's written into the existing
Yeah.
Yep. So
contracts.
it
So
is what it
anything
is.
that came out on
Pour-
Xbox
pour one
One
out for the
is
360
playable
store.
is not only playable on the series. Yeah, it's a bummer. In a again more positive note, we got from an interview today that Baldur's Gate 3 is coming to Xbox this year, and the reason
Yay.
that it's doing that is because they seem to have sort of relaxed on the nerdy necessities. In that the Series S will not be able to do split screen, which, based on the people that I've been talking to playing the game, almost no one is using anyway. So it's not really that big
Which
of a
we
deal, and I'm
knew,
surprised that it
like-
took them this long to come to a conversation.
You,
but
you,
yeah,
you have no idea the debates I got into with people.
it's
over
really
that.
annoying.
It's so silly. It's like, why are we debating this? Nobody really uses that damn
No one's
feature.
using the split screen.
Nobody.
People are playing in multiplayer, but they're not doing it split screen. They're doing
Right.
it online, right? So
Oh man, I don't even want to get into
I
that
don't know.
because I'll get mad about it. But it's good.
Plus
It's
you-
coming this year.
S's for the cost of an X. So just get the 2 Series S's, put them on different TVs, and play it online.
Right, exactly. But
Wow.
I'm glad it's coming this year. The thing is, though, I'll still be deep into like so many other games at that point. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know
I'm
when
gonna
I'll get to it.
be
It'll
I'm
probably
gonna
be
be
at the end.
waist deep in
It might be their
Starfield, so
December
who
game.
knows?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I
December,
was-
a December
So,
release will be good for it.
Stalker. Yeah, 'cause Stalker
Yeah.
we thought was going to come in December, but now
Sure
we know
did.
that's
Yeah,
coming.
Stalker seems like it's being. I
early
think they
next year.
specifically said that it's being pushed to Q1 of next year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
2 to 1
didn't
next
put it
year.
on here,
Now
but they
there's
did say
nothing in
that.
December,
Mhm.
right? So since we have nothing, in
Yeah,
December,
but a lot of times
why
people
not
don't like
squeeze
putting
that
games
in?
out in December, and I guess this one wouldn't count for that because it's would have already been released on 2 other platforms at that point. But a lot of times people don't like putting their games out in December because they don't get a lot of sort of like time to be purchased before the holidays. You know what I mean? So it's just not a super popular release time. So, but I don't know. It
Yeah.
could work. It could definitely work.
Well, I mean, if you think about till the end of the year, they're not going to do it in September. They're not going to do it in October because October is packed. So November, what you're going to go against Call of Duty maybe? December probably. So it looks like it would be the safest place to come out, especially being released after the initial releases already came out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
maybe.
So Eric Reed was saying that it was alluding to, I guess, that
Yeah.
Lyrian was saying admitting they wanted to try to get out of the way of Starfield, and Schreier reported on it as well. Did anybody hear about that? Or
I didn't hear about that, but I suspected that was probably part of it.
I agree.
Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make
100%.
sense to launch 2 games of this scale that are sort of the same market next to each other
I agree.
or on top of each other. It just doesn't make sense. So
I hadn't heard anything about it.
It does make sense to do it
but
on the
it makes
PlayStation.
sense.
yeah, well,
Not
that's
on
why
the
they moved it
Xbox.
up on PC. Is they specifically said they moved it up to get out of the way of Starfield.
Right.
So like that part was known. The not releasing it on Xbox, I think, was maybe a separate situation. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
The last thing I got
Scientist.
here is also the only thing here that's not specifically video game related is we're talking about Blue Beetle. It debuted last week. It's currently got a 78 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is, it doesn't sound great, but for the DCEU is actually like one of its higher ones, which is not awesome, but like
My
yeah.
God, I wanna see that
It's got a
movie so bad.
91% audience score. And I saw it and I thought it was pretty good. A lot of the important things that they sort of harped on here negatively is they said it was a pretty cookie cutter story, which I would agree with, and the visuals were pretty cheap looking, which again is true because it was originally made as a HBO Max like straight to streaming movie, and then they ended up putting it in theaters because the main actor Sholo Maduenya, I don't know how, I didn't write it down, but
it sounded right the way you said it. I don't know if
Thank
it is,
you. I'm gonna pretend that was right. Hopefully, there's. Anyway, he was on Cobra Kai and he got really popular off that after they had started filming it. So they're like, we can probably put this in theaters. It's not making a ton of money, but it's doing okay, I guess.
I saw it dethroned Barbie.
It did dethrone Barbie,
yeah.
but it's still not making like a lot, basically any money.
That's not
But it
good.
also didn't cost basically any money, so there's that.
That's good.
And the pros that people are pointing out are it has a really great cast, which again, I agree with. It's very heartwarming and sort of defiant tone, and they do a really good job of sort of showcasing, being the first Hispanic superhero in a major film. They do a really great job with it. They talk about how
Is he, though?
like America really has messed with. I think he is, as far as I'm
Well,
aware.
hero, I guess.
That's what everyone keeps saying.
I guess hero, but we did have Namor in the Black Panther.
We did have Namor,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I just that's just what people have been
But
saying.
he's not a
you're
hero.
right.
I guess
He's like an anti-hero.
True.
There's a gray area there. But anyway, they talk a lot about how like America in the past used to go. Well, actually, they still do it a little bit, to be honest with you. They really went into like Guatemala specifically and just like stripped it for resources and did a lot of really terrible things. And like there was child soldiers. And they really do not sugarcoat any of that in the movie. They like it is not subtext. It is text. Like that is the plot of the movie. Is that those things had happened. And I think it's really powerful in that way. But I also like that 78. I agree with that 100%. Like it is not the most amazing movie that's ever been made, but it is very good and I think worth watching.
Okay, I have to check it out sometime.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I saw it and Ninja Turtles in a double feature.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Ninja Turtles was amazing.
Ninja Turtles was really good.
Like,
Yeah, I definitely prefer Ninja Turtles, but they were both great. So like I really did enjoy both of them. In very similar ways where I was like, these are pretty generic in terms of the story, but they do a lot of really interesting things around that story. In the case of TMNT, it's like the art style, and I think they do a great job interpreting the characters. Whereas on the Blue Beetle side, I think they do a really great job with representation and the casting.
Yeah,
So.
nice. I got to check it out sometime, man. I'll have to figure it out how to get to the movies for that, but kind of swamped here as far as work and everything. But
Yeah,
It
you gotta
felt-
get to work soon too.
I know it feels like it's been kind of a downturn for movies, though, right? Like I know the strike.
Oh
is
no,
going
it's
on.
very much the opposite.
Is it?
Yeah, well, the strike's not going to help. But for movie theaters specifically, because I used to work in a movie theater for many years, and so I a lot of my friends still do. Between Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible and Barbie, movie theaters are back. Like they're back, baby, in a major way. They're making more money than they've ever made. It's really crazy. Like Ninja Turtles is doing great. Blue Beetles is not doing amazing, but like it's doing better than anyone expected it to. Movie theaters are really back. My local theater shut down half of its screens and replaced it with an arcade. And during the Barbenheimer thing, they removed part of the arcade and put back in screens. Like that's how good they've been doing lately.
Oh, wow. That's good then.
So
Yeah.
it's really good for them.
I thought it was
Man,
I thought
I
it was a
bought-
type of downturn, but that's good to know.
I mean, yeah, the strike's gonna really mess everything up, but it's important to make sure that people are getting, you know, payable or living wages and all that stuff. So
Absolutely.
it is what it is.
What you about to say, Doc? Oh, no.
I was gonna say I bought AMC when it was a meme stock, and I'm really glad I held on to it. So
Oh, nice. Nice. Gonna have to get Doc to loan me $1 billion. So was that for the
You
news
put me on that
ramble?
list too, bro. Whatever.
That's all I got.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I had the wraps and stuff on here, but that's
Yeah, we'll so speaking of the
the
console
main
wraps,
topic. So yeah.
absolutely. So speaking of the console wraps, guys, what are your thoughts on the 3 console wraps we saw? We got the Starfield and the 2 camouflage wraps. And one of the things is funny because I remember specifically us talking about why they wouldn't release or come up with a third party team that would come up with a wrap or some type of shell to put on the Xbox, Denny. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that. So
No, yeah.
but it's pretty cool that they come out with this, and I think it looks pretty damn good. The Starfield, I think for all of them do, but the one I'm definitely going to get is the Starfield wrap. You all in the chat, are you all getting that? And what about you, fellas? Like, what's your thoughts on it? You all getting it?
Yeah, I love the Starfield one. I think it's really great. I wasn't able to pre-order it, so I don't know if I'll be able to get one. If I see it in the store, I'll definitely pick it up. Camo's never really spoken to me, but I think my big takeaways here in terms of it is I think that this, because it's a wrap, is going to make it a lot easier for them to make more of them for future games, and I think that's really exciting. And hopefully I don't end up spending too much money on them because I have a condition called
Well-
not enough money.
like, so I'm a console collector. Like, I actually collect consoles, and so so for example, I had my original black Xbox Series X. Then I bought the Halo Infinite Xbox Series X, and I've got all the Gears Xbox consoles and stuff like that. So for me, I'm like, make the limited edition console, and I'll buy 2 of them. Like, that's the way I think about it. So when they came out with these wraps, I was kind of like really skeptical at first. I think the camo ones are ugly as sin. Like, personally, I wouldn't put a penny into them. But the Starfield one, I think, is lit. It's absolutely beautiful. And then, I saw the build. It seems like it's pretty nice stuff. It's got like a Velcro fastener. It's got like these little feet at the bottom so that it sits. I kind of have some issues with that. I mean, ultimately, like, I think, when you had the Xbox 360 and the faceplates could pop off, honestly, they should have done the same thing with the Xbox Series X. You should have been able to just hit a little release button and just slide the whole entire column off and be able to put another one in. And that would have been absolutely lit, And it's like,
that's effectively what the PlayStation is, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that PlayStation did a great job. I mean, if you're lucky enough to even be able to get the Spider-Man plates,
Yeah. They
impossibly it'll live.
It is weird to me that they had that design feature, and yet the Starfield wrap and the Spider-Man ones are coming out like within a month of each other. It's like, was this not your plan from the beginning? Because it's been like 3 years, and this is the first like real one we're getting. Like, we had different colors.
Well,
like, there was a blue one and a black one. Whatever.
So they did do the Halo Infinite like console, and I think that there was
Yes.
probably some internal discussion where they said, look, if we're doing these limited, it's probably going to change our like the way that we do production or something like that. There must have been some nuts and bolts thing, and so somebody said, hey, why don't we do these high quality wraps? Now I'm assuming that each one of the panels is made out of the same kind of like plastic that the actual console is made out of, but they're hinged and connected to each other by like the Velcro and stuff. I don't know until I can touch it, but if it's like fabric, that's going to be really weird. So I don't think they're fabric. I think they're like
they're
some kind of
plastic.
etched
They're
plastic.
plastic.
Yeah, they
for
said
sure.
it was plastic, but they also they did say that there was a fabric like aspect to it, because it said fabric and it said plastic. So I'm hoping that the fabric is like the cloth in between, and then the bit where you like fold it with a Velcro is. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. What about
It
you?
looks really good in the
This goes
pictures
back to
from
my-
people at
Yeah.
Gamescom.
People at Gamescom and post pictures of it.
Yeah.
They look solid.
Yeah,
I've seen
every
it.
time they show it, it looks really nice. I got them pre-ordered, so I can't wait. I just feel
Do you
like
guys
this is a
think they're
great
gonna
way
stop?
for it to come.
Do you guys think they'll stop making limited edition consoles and just do wraps only?
That is a good question.
Uh,
My
think
thinking
probably-
is, go ahead, Danny. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I think they probably will. I think that this is a lot cheaper for them. It's a lot easier for them. I think they'll sell better than limited edition consoles. I think that they'll just partner these wraps up with like limited edition controllers and stuff, because they love their controllers, and I think that's what we're gonna see for at least the rest of this generation. Who knows?
I'm
beyond that.
Yeah,
I'm
but
of
I mean,
the same
hold up
thinking.
a second. Hold up a second. You said that the limited edition consoles don't sell well? They sell out.
No,
every
it's
single
not that
one
they
of
don't
them.
sell well. I just think that the wraps, you know what I mean? Because they're cheaper.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, imagine
bro, it's
the way to
literally
look
just
at
a
it is like the Spider-Man, right? Like the Spider-Man console came out with the shells, right, that you can buy,
Mhm.
and then they also sold them separately. And the console you can probably still buy right now, whereas the shells, they were gone almost
Yeah, those
immediately.
pre-orders did not last.
Yeah, so it's like the consoles, they sell out for sure, because I'm one of those people. I'll buy
Yeah.
shit. Give me a nice new console, I'll buy it. But just financially speaking, the reality of it is you're not going to be able to double dip on those consoles as much as you would have people double dip and buy a wrap, right?
Yeah, and
Like
even
somebody
if you
who
did
has an
double dip, you
Xbox is
wouldn't
much more likely to
necessarily
do that.
like triple and quadruple dip, which is whereas this is a situation where you could just have like a shelf,
Yeah,
6 or 7 of these
You
on and be like,
buy
oh,
these,
I'm
like,
gonna play
pairs of
Starfield
socks,
today.
bro.
I'm putting the wrap on. Yeah. And so I think that's an interesting choice. I like limited edition consoles. I don't think they necessarily make a lot of sense right now in terms of just like where we are economically in the
And the-
world with
and the
like all the
stock.
recession and inflation and stuff, and stock, of
Absolutely.
course. So I do think this makes a lot more. I hope that next generation they do more limited edition consoles.
Yeah.
But that's gonna come down to how much more of the market share they take back, and I guess how successful these wraps are. Because if these are successful, they might just do them instead.
My thinking is much in line with Danny's. I just don't know if they'll go to it because I think it's more cost effective just to make the wraps. I think because Sony sells at a profit for their consoles right now. Microsoft still doesn't. I think having to go and manufacture specific special editions is just not conducive to their financials.
Yeah, but I mean, Halo Infinite, that console is one of the best looking consoles
love
they've
it.
ever made.
That
I
look
agree.
really
I
good.
mean, it's gorgeous. And then their Gears consoles, same thing, man. When they had the
Yeah,
translucent,
back in the day.
Yeah.
yeah, like when the Xbox One X version for Gears 5 and they had the translucent ice-looking plastic, I'm like, bro, this.
I mean, go back to the
is
360,
top-notch.
Doc. You had the shell casing for the front of the plates that we put on. I had a bunch of those, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just
Well,
don't think. And then we had custom consoles for them too, so they had a bunch. I mean,
Yeah, they had both.
they
I
did.
think that's the thing. They did the plate, they did the face plates, and then they also did limited edition consoles. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
let's
Well,
not.
I didn't have the
stop.
faceplates because I didn't get a 360 until they switched to the Elite, and those didn't have faceplates.
Oh yeah.
You know, here it is.
Oh, you're talking about the series, like the E, like the
Yeah.
last model.
Yeah, whatever it was,
everything
the,
else
like,
did
thinner
have-
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doc, I
Yeah,
had a
but
ton of
love,
those.
I mean, stuff like that. I've got like, literally, it's just I use it as wall art, right? Like I have them in their original packaging,
nice.
just like posted
should,
up. I mean, it
You
looks.
should reach out to
cool, man.
Frame a Game, see what he can do for you.
Oh yeah. Dude, that's a good point.
What? So it's funny, right? Like he's a friend of mine,
Yeah.
and like I'd entered a contest and won one of his frames, and so he and I like got to know each other and really hit it off. And then like I ended up buying like basically every Gears frame that he had, and they're awesome. I mean, they're awesome.
We became best friends. I gave him a lot of money.
But
We're
he-
friends
you know
now.
what? He was so enthusiastic that I was so enthusiastic. He
Yeah.
gave me like this crazy discount, and then he was like, "Hey, can I post this up on my stuff?" I'm like, "Absolutely, go ahead and put it up there."
That's
So
pretty dope.
it's been good, and it's
Yeah.
like, if people don't know who Frame a Game is, look him up on Twitter or X as it's called now. Super great, amazing service, and he mails it from the UK to the US. Took like 2 or 3 days max.
Good
like,
brother. Yeah,
I got it faster than some of my Amazon deliveries.
I met him. We actually met him on Boom's podcast one of those. But good brother. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Follow each
Nice.
other as well. But yeah, so listen, I want to read Dragonheart Yobi's chat really quick, and then we can move on to this. But Dragonheart Yobi, our brother Dragonheart Yobi, gives a $5 donation. Thank you, brother. He says, "You heard it from me first. A modding team will turn Starfield into Mass Effect. Quote me on it. Creating whole planets. It's on the way." I can absolutely see that because, as we know,
I can see that happening.
Pete Hines had a Q&A, and he mentioned that you can create worlds in Starfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can do all kinds of stuff. I'm sure modding is going to be absolutely
Oh,
insane.
No,
man.
modding is going to be what carries that game into infinity, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, if you
well,
just
as it is
look
with
at-
all Bethesda games.
True.
absolutely.
Yep.
The modding community. You know how many people out of the modding community ended up becoming professional game developers and eventually being
Yeah.
That's
brought
pretty
over
dope.
by Bethesda?
Because Bethesda keeps hiring them. Like there was a Fallout London fan game that was being made, and they hired I think most of the team, if not the entire team.
Oh yeah,
They hired some of the Skyblivion team.
That's dope.
Like, yeah, they just keep hiring them because they're like, you're doing good work, and like, you clearly know this engine. Come on down.
Right. Sure, will be a shame if we acquired you. No,
Sure
yeah,
would
that's
be a shame if we got all this talent going on.
exactly. No, that's pretty dope though, man. I mean, imagine doing something like that just off a hobby you love, and you get brought into one of the best studios in gaming of all time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is it's like people bitch and moan. It's like, well, I don't like the way the faces look and stuff like that. I'm like, literally give the modding community 10 seconds.
Yeah,
You'll
that,
be able to
that
change.
clean faces mod is coming in
everything.
hot.
Oh,
Don't worry
yeah.
about it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be insane. And I think that like, people are like, oh, it's not at 4K 60. I'm like, give the modders a minute. I
Mhm.
promise you the performance on this thing, they will absolutely suck the marrow out of this. And the fact that you
Yeah.
got 1,000 planets, each one of those planets, I mean, like, I can't wait until somebody does a full Skyrim
I
mod
can
on one of
see
these
it.
planets. You fly there, boom,
Yeah.
you're playing the entirety of Skyrim from beginning to end. And I'm like, that's the level of
That
talent
would be
these folks have.
crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, I think that, people want to poo-poo all over this. I think there's a lot of butthurt, jealous people at the end of
It
the day.
is,
And I'm
yeah.
like, well, look, here's the thing. You don't have to play it on Xbox. Play it on PC. In fact,
They don't have
I
these
have-
vaunted PCs though, Doc. They keep talking about they
Every-
have those
no, no, no,
PCs.
no,
They
no.
don't have them.
every single one of them is like, I got this amazing gaming PC. What do I need an Xbox for? I'm
Right.
like, bro, then you're not missing out on this game at all, right? Me personally, I've got an Xbox Series X, I've got a PlayStation 5, I got everything, but I'm playing this game on PC. And why? Because I want to be able to push my 4090s, and I want to be able to do this
Yep.
thing and be able to see what's really up in terms
Very
of
nice.
performance. And I
It's-
think that, can you imagine
It's your
playing
full 60
this
on, huh?
game at 4K,
Probably 120,
60,
bro.
probably even
Mm.
higher than that. So we're gonna experiment, and I will report back to you guys once I actually get like a stable frame and everything
Nice.
like that. But that's part of the fun, dialing it in.
Nice, nice.
Oh, yeah.
So
49 is a beast, bro.
so most consistent Xbox click, Xbot click. He says that he's buying the console wrap, the camo wrap, and he's going to have his friend custom spray paint the Gears of War on it. That's pretty dope. That's actually a good idea.
That's pretty dope.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea.
Although they'll have.
That's actually a
one
convenient way to have somebody make art for your Xbox.
Yeah.
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 Like
You're
you
gonna
can
need to-
imagine, there's like a lot of artists, like Etsy and shit, can take this, buy it, and
Good
just
point.
like completely do something
Mhm.
different on it, and it's like a
Mhm.
beautiful wrap that's easy to put around your console. That's dope,
Yeah.
actually. Pretty smart.
Well, and I bet you somebody's going to come out and actually have like the vinyl, like how they have the vinyl stickers that you could put on your console, like a skin.
Mhm.
Somebody can make a skin for each one of those individual panes, and that way it's like you can just put different vinyl skins on there if you wanted to.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I was saying that on a Tuesday's show that they could possibly do that for the S because there's no console wrap for that specifically. By the way, so what do you all think about that? That we talk about parity, but there's no parity when it comes to the console wraps. What do you all feel about the S being left out of that equation? You think it's the right move?
You know
or do
what?
you
They
think
just need to
should
bury
find a
that thing.
solution?
Nah, man, bury the S. Just stick with the X.
No,
baby.
man, the S is good, bro.
No,
This is good.
no. You know what they should have done? They should have done exactly what Sony did: have a disc version of the X and a disc-less version of the X, and been
Mm.
done with it. I mean, I understand why they did it. I get it, but like, I mean, look at Larian Studios and the whole entire situation with Baldur's Gate 3, right? Why are we getting it? Because they finally said, okay, we're not going to force you to do parity on this game. As soon as that went away, boom, game is like, yeah, we'll have it to you before December or whatever.
Yeah, but
and I'm
the
just
problem
like,
is running the game twice on the same screen, not running the game. You know what I'm
it
saying?
doesn't matter.
Like,
The
they
point
can-
is that parity clause is absolutely, hamstringing the crap out of the Series X, because the Series X, if they could, I'm telling you, we would be seeing something different if the Series X was the only console they had. I promise you this. That S is definitely hamstringing them to some extent. I don't have any hate for it in the sense that, like, if that's where you want to be, whatever. But they just need to, like, take the parity clauses away and stuff like that. Have more than one device, sure. Just don't make the X have to answer to the S.
Hmm. Well, I don't want to dive too much into that
Well,
because
it
that'll be a long discussion if we get into that.
That's true.
So, but I'll just say, like, sticking straight to the console wrap idea and vinyls. My thought was vinyls could be a solution possibly for the S that they don't have right now, because I figure they would have a console wrap for both, SKUs, but they don't. So, would you all think vinyls would be the way to go, maybe for the S? or would you think
You
they
know,
should find a
honestly,
solution for the wrap for it too?
the carbon black, like I really like that. I think that again, if they had made the consoles modular, right? Like I saw a mock-up of the Xbox Series S where it was like a white console and they had taken the black screen off and put a red one in, and they had like the beams coming out like the way that the old Japanese flag was, and it was like a prop thing that they were using for like, I don't know if it was Japanese marketing or whatever. And I was kind of like, bro, that's dope. Like, if you could do that, where it's like you could just like peel off the top and like, change some stuff around, like why you wouldn't make these cases modular is beyond me, because it's like, to me, that's easy money, right? It takes 30 cents to injection mold that thing and you can sell it for $60. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't get why they didn't do that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think they just were looking at the actual thing with having the fan take up half the system. You're really only getting half a design,
Yeah.
on the console.
That's
So
part. That's
just
why I
don't know,
think
maybe
the
they're not
vinyls part. That's why I'm saying like the vinyls, maybe that makes more sense for that instead of the wrap, right? Maybe.
Yeah. I think it would be
Yeah, I
tough,
mean, it would
but
make
I think
more
they could
sense.
definitely
I just-
figure it out. I mean, they've got super engineers over there who designed the thing. If they needed to figure out a way to put a condom on it to slap some Starfield logos all over it, like they can figure it out. It's not
Wrap it
exactly
up.
rocket science.
Yeah.
There you go. Get
you
it
know-
wrapped.
Yeah,
You know
like I
what
do
they
think
could
it's
do?
more complicated than just a big square monolith is, but like they can figure it out.
You know what they could do for the S? You know how like the Switch kind of has like a stand, and so like you put the thing in the stand, and then you can buy those external stands that have like a little plexiglass with the LED light underneath, and it
Yeah.
shines up. You could maybe make a little stand that you can put your S on that has like some graphics or lighting or something like that.
That's a good idea. I see what you're saying. Kind of treat it like the PlayStation 2 was at the time. Remember, the PlayStation 2 had that little stand
Yeah.
that you could put it on.
Had a little pedestal.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes some sense. And then just to wrap it up, because I have to get going for sure. But the marketing for Microsoft with Starfield rather is kind of picked up a lot dramatically, right? And we're seeing a lot of different peripherals and things brought into play. Like you see the Elgato, Steam Deck, Stream Deck rather. You saw that one. We saw the microphone. We saw what else? Skateboards. We got the wrap, obviously, and it was something else I saw.
It's everywhere,
too.
bro.
They got a lot of stuff for it, man, and so it's pretty interesting. I felt that Bethesda would pick it up when it comes to marketing for it, but this feels a little different. It feels like Microsoft is really giving this game the proper push it deserves, which I'm proud and happy for. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're hearing nothing but Starfield in discourse, by the way. If you go on Twitter right now, somebody's either hating on it or praising it. That's all we hear.
I could tell you right now, dude, BG3, aside from this announcement that they just made, essentially disappeared once Starfield turned it on.
Yep. Once it went
Like,
gold
it
and we heard
literally-
that was pretty much it.
That's it. It
Yeah,
was done,
but-
dude. It was
But
done.
listen, it's every month it's going to be the same thing. You'll have one game that's got the spotlight for the month, and because there's another big release coming, you'll forget about it. Like, I have a feeling that Starfield, once the game launches, will get pushed as soon as the next game comes out. And I think that that's the kind of the risk that we have, right? Like with all these games all of a sudden like catching up, just bang, 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 one after the other. There's not going to be a lot of airtime. I mean, like, you look at when God of War Ragnarok dropped, right? Like when it hit, it's like, you had months of kind of like advertising for it, and it's like went all the way into Christmas and, all that kind of stuff. And I have a feeling that it's like, it's going to be much shorter. Just think about like films, right? Like when we see TV commercials, they don't really last like more than a month, and then 6 weeks later, it's like the movie's out on disc. You know what I'm saying? So
It's
I have a
really
feeling
been
there's gonna be an
crazy.
acceleration.
Yeah, it's been an expedited process when it comes to movies
Yes.
nowadays. It seemed like it used
Yeah.
to be like 7 or 8 months before a movie came to DVD or
Yeah, well, that's because they want that
disc or
money,
tape.
and they know that the reality is most people go to the movies towards the beginning of the life
Yeah.
cycle that it's out, and then that's it. So why wait and just let it sit for a while? Just go get that money.
Absolutely.
But I think Starfield is a whole different ballgame, because it's not Microsoft that's going to need to keep marketing it. Once that game is out in the wild, you might as well name Twitter Starfield because everyone is going to be posting nonstop about whatever they found or whatever they saw. It's going to be nonstop. That's the one thing that a game like BG3 or all these other games can't touch, is that those games, you might stumble upon something, but it's relatively going to be the same game, just different lanes for other people. Starfield is going to be, dude, my boy fucking Behind said he's played 160 hours and he hasn't even like touched the main or was
Phil Spencer
him?
too.
Him, right?
Phil Spencer spoke on it.
Like they've done so much thing. And like P Hines said that he told like towards the beginning, like a few like in November or something, he said Todd Howard went to him like, how long have you been playing? He's like, I've been playing like 80 hours. And he was like, well, what have you done? Like, how'd you like the main quest? And he's like, I haven't touched it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like you just have it's like limitless possibility out there. And it's going to be a crazy screenshot fest and video fest. People are going to go crazy for this game.
I'm telling you.
It's going to be
I am going to be uploading a ton of screenshots, man. I'm going to go crazy with it. I got a buddy I know who absolutely despises screenshots and people taking screenshots and recordings, but that's on him. Sorry.
Sorry, bro.
He's
it's like,
screwed
look
now.
at my timeline.
Yeah, you better not look at my timeline. I swear. I'm going to be
I can't imagine it any other way, bro. It's just a whole different world, man. Starfield has literally it's no joke gonna be the game of the generation. I don't think you're gonna look back at any game quite like this game.
And I keep telling people this, and I don't know why. It's just weird. I don't know what it is, man. I know it's some downplaying going on, but it's like, these people are arguing that Starfield is going to land in the 70s. I'm like, what would make you think that? What would make and it's not going to be a game of the generation? I'm like, you're lying to yourself. Like, why would you think that? Look at the pedigree. Check the pedigree.
Even if it did land in the 70s, right? It's like, here's the thing, the way I look at it. Worst case scenario, it's a blank canvas and you are about to be mesmerized by what the modding community does. I don't think that's the case, right? Like, I think that we got Todd Howard with his mojo back, right? Like, that's the anticipation. Like, that's the level of hype. So if it doesn't deliver, I'll be disappointed. But I have a sneaking suspicion this game is going to be absolutely bonkers.
Man, this game is about to deliver.
I think that Metacritic will be either on par or it'll be BG3.
Yeah, that's my thinking.
No.
I think it'll be a 94. Matter of fact, let me ask you all this. Now, I asked, I believe, Danny and C Money. I know theirs, but I will reiterate it really quick and then we'll wrap it. 94, 96 is my new rating. I had it at 88 to 92, but after I heard so much positivity and but actually before that, when I saw the 45-minute breakdown, I was like, okay. Yeah, this game is about to score crazy. So I moved up to 94, 96. What's yours, Danny?
Man, I don't know. I would definitely say like low 90s. I think that feels about right.
Maybe
just based on how everyone's
93?
been. Yeah, somewhere in there. Okay. I think like I would be surprised if it fell below like an 88 at this point, just based on how everyone's been talking about it. I don't know if it'll beat Baldur's Gate 3 in terms of like Metacritic, because I think right now it's like one of the best rated games of all time or some shit. Like, it's crazy. But I do think that it'll very likely get more players and probably more buzz, just by nature of being a first party Xbox game. I think plus the pedigree of the studio, I think a lot of people are going to be coming to this game who are just going to absolutely adore it. Like Baldur's Gate 3 is really popular because it was a surprise. Starfield is a game that I feel like people have been waiting for years. Yeah. And so I think that
there was no hype. There was no hype leading into BG3.
No, it just happened to be an absolutely amazing game. Yeah,
good point.
Exactly. But so now Starfield has the hype, plus it is going to be an amazing game, dude. There's no, first of all, you're talking about people who make amazing games, right? Like, let's not act like we're wondering what caliber these guys are. Like, they make classics. You know what I'm saying? Like, they make games that people still play today.
Absolutely. That's right.
And now,
but at the same time, though,
well, the one thing you're missing, though, out of those other games, real quick, is that those other games, they made them and they were like, shit, we have to release them at some point because we got to make the money. Whereas Big Papa Phil said, "Nah, you don't have to release that game 2 years ago as you anticipated. No. You here now. We take care of you. Make that shit better." And that's what we're going to be getting. We're getting the better Bethesda game this time.
Nah, man.
That's the difference.
I think the narrative is off there. I think that what happened was Papa Phil came into the room and was like, "Oh God, we got to make sure that there's enough polish on this for this to be able to hit." So I don't think that was a Bethesda request. I think that was a Phil saying, "Hey, you guys need to put a little bit more elbow grease and make sure that this stuff is locked and loaded," because it's the tip of the spear for their whole entire initiative of releasing titles. So this game has to do well. If this game comes in low, man, it's going to cause all kinds of problems, and people on the console wars stuff is going to be absolutely intolerable.
Listen,
but you don't release.
Well, that part's going to be intolerable regardless.
It is going to be intolerable. Yeah, I agree with that, but I also agree with Doc on it because actually I argued that, Doc. I said that some shows back, maybe about 10 shows back. One of my arguments was this game cannot land lower than the 80s. It cannot. If it does, it's going to be disastrous. And it won't. Just to say the game won't. I'm telling you right now, the game is going to land in the 90s. That's great. To me, it's almost guaranteed to be 94 at the very least. Maybe I'm being too lofty. What's up, Mav? I see you, brother. But I'm telling you, I don't think the game is landing below that. But a 90, I can see maybe a 93. Okay, I'll give you that.
I don't know. I have a feeling that it's going to be
97, 98.
If it hits a 97, imagine if it hits a 98. Can you imagine the salt?
Yeah, I think it'll be.
Okay.
Listen, first of all, let's stop. Let's put some respect on Bethesda's name.
That's right.
So let's stop acting like there's some indie studio that we are wondering how they're gonna do.
Talk that shit. See money.
97. If it could be 97, the makers of Skyrim and Oblivion and Fallout.
That's right. Talk that shit.
You're gonna let BG3? You're gonna let BG3 flex on Bethesda?
Score.
Never.
You're saying 85 is not a respectable score.
It's not a respectable score when BG3 is 97 and Bethesda's making one of the best games and the game that's gonna define a generation.
Hold on a second. Have you played BG3?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so did you think that it lived up to the 97?
Well, 96 to be clear.
Me? I think it was really good.
Whatever.
I
mean, okay. So, I mean, first of all, it's like, we're just hypothesizing and speculating on the score. For that game, so the hype is crazy, but the expectation is also crazy, right? Like, they will nitpick the shit out of this game. They will nitpick the shit out of this game, mark my words. And that's why I'm saying it's going to be an 85.
I believe that they will nitpick it. I believe they will nitpick it, but I see no world where this game comes in at 85. I just don't see it.
Not a chance, bro.
Yeah,
not a chance.
That would be
Infinite came in at what, 88?
88, I could possibly see 88 up to a 90.
Infinite came in at 88, and people wanted to hate that shit.
Yeah, true.
So, but I still think
they wanted to hate it, and they couldn't let it go worse than the 88, and that shit should have been in the 90s. But this game, come on, man. You got to remember, man, Bethesda is first party, yes. But all those people reviewing, they've been, even if they're on the PlayStation, they've been on the PlayStation side of things, they all loved Bethesda.
That's right.
And just like, what's the name? The Rubicon, the one that you guys were talking about, the Armor Mecha game, right?
Armor Core.
Armor Core 6.
Right? And it's at this high Metacritic, right? It's everything's so great, right? You're talking about people who love that game, right? Who love that style, and that's why they scored it high.
That's right.
There's
also see money to add to it too.
Waiting for Bethesda to get back.
Just to add to that before you keep cooking, because I want to let you keep cooking. Just to add, because From Software is making that game. I told people this before, and I don't know why people ignore it, but the pedigree of From Software is going to help carry that game, and it did. Look at the score it's got. You think
From Software's pedigree is high?
Absolutely, and to think that Bethesda, the A team with Todd Howard and his A team, is going to get less than? Nah, not happening.
That's crazy, fam.
That's right.
That's crazy. Highly disrespectful. I take offense. I take offense.
I'm just saying.
I don't know that it would be.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope they come in at a 98. Like, hell, I hope
crazy.
they come in at 100. But I'm just saying that realistically, my spidey senses, not to put too fine a point on there. My spidey senses are telling me that this game is probably going to be right in the upper 80s, probably mid to upper 80s.
Upper
I could
80s,
see
I could
upper
see.
80s.
Upper 80s, I
Yeah,
could see, but
it's
nowhere
I think
near.
85
I can't see
wood.
anything without a 9 in
Yeah,
front of it, and
I
I
do
don't
think
it loses to BG3.
I mean, I do think that he's
I don't
making
think it will either,
some
though.
points that I agree with. I don't know that I don't know that the score would drop that far, but I do agree with the fact that I think that there's an aspect to Baldur's Gate's review scores that were surprise. Like, I think people went into that not expecting for it to be as good as it is, whereas I think a lot of people have really high expectations for this. And I
Correct.
think there is going to
That's
be a
the
certain
point.
level of that situation where, like, when you go to see a movie and you think it's going to suck and then it's okay, you're like, you know what, that was good.
Yeah.
But if you go to see a movie that you think is going to be amazing and it was just good, you're like, that kind of sucked.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Also,
So I think
too,
there's
to
gonna
add
be
to
maybe
it,
a
there
little
are
bit.
less
Have
there
you
are
heard
less people
anybody-
reviewing Baldur's
Not a
Gate
single
3
person.
than there
Not a
are
single
that's going to be
person.
reviewing
But-
Starfield too. By the way, just to throw that out.
Yeah.
there.
No, so everyone I've heard
Yeah.
who's been playing it has been really positive on it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
I just want to
exactly.
point that out there as, like, you know, there's always that one guy. Like whenever
Always.
like whenever the big PlayStation game comes out, there's like a survivor or something who's like, it's a 6 out of 10, and it's like, I don't know, bud. But like there's always one, and you know
Hey,
that is gonna
It's
affect
some
the score.
some noise in the background. I'm not sure what that is, but
That's gamer.
oh,
Yeah,
Doc,
sorry.
you unpacking one of those 360 screens.
He's unpacking Oblivion to
Yeah.
remember how good Bethesda is.
Right. He's unpacking the
was trying to-
digital
I was
horse
just trying
armor.
to get-
In your disc, and
Yeah.
then come back to me when you talk about
It was
that.
my, it was my Starfield,
He's talking to you like he's
but I didn't
like
want
his
to
son
put
is
it up
giving you
on
homework.
YouTube.
Yeah, don't come back
No,
until you
yeah,
pass the
Starfield
85
is
in your
put
review
up on
score.
YouTube.
That's right. That's right.
That's why I'm saying 85, because I've been playing it for the last 3 days. No, I'm just messing.
Oh damn.
Oh,
Embargo. Call the cops on him, everybody.
Get him. Get him. Lock him up. There's a lot of reasons. I got many.
Hey, but
Sorry.
see, look, Math and everybody in the chat, they're like 94, 96. Red, and yeah, see, I'm telling you, I think it's going to hit 94 at the very lowest.
I hope so. I want this
Bell
game to
says
be amazing.
97. Good man.
Oh yeah. Well, I think Abdel doing he's going a little far with it. But if it does hit a 97, can you imagine the salt?
Oh,
That
but
we
why?
would-
But what can be? Why, when we think about this, can we say imagine, as if homeboys are not capable of doing it? I don't
No,
get it.
like,
That's a
if
fair
they're
point.
capable of it, I do
Any
think
team.
Yeah.
I do think getting
God
a really high
Howard.
score like that for any first party title, really, except you're like Nintendo's, is a little bit tough because there are reviewers who are fanboys. There are reviewers who
Mhm.
are really faction based
True.
with this stuff, and they shouldn't be, but they are. And so like there is going to be some people out there who are reviewing for like a website called like PlayStation Lifestyle or something. Or that might be a real one. I didn't mean to call them out if so. But there's gonna be some guy who reviews for a website like that, and he's gonna be like, you know, actually, I think it's an 8, and like he'll give it a not a dramatically lower score, but a lower score just by nature of, you know, sort of what factionism.
What
Is
you're
that even a
saying
word?
is that sabotage is going to happen.
Yeah.
It could, yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah. There's gonna be
Okay,
a certain amount
so
of
this
bias.
is not
It just always
about
comes with first-party
Starfield
things.
being a 98. You just think that the world of
There'll be
haters
some
are going to try
bias.
Oh
to
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Which
down.
is exactly the same reason why I don't put like 100% stock in Metacritic scores for first-party titles, because whether it's PlayStation, Xbox, I guess Nintendo kind of gets away with it because they don't really have like they don't have a rival. You know what I mean?
I think Sony gets away with it too. I think most
they
of the
do-
reviewers are
they-
Sony fans.
They get away with it a lot more than Microsoft does, but there are definitely websites that specifically give them lower scores because they know it'll get more clicks because everyone else is going to say positive things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like they do get away with it more than Xbox for sure, 100%. But like, yeah, I think it's always part of it.
That's so despicable to me. Like,
Yeah,
the
I
lack
agree.
of integrity to do something like that. It's stunning,
it's
right?
bullshit.
Yeah,
It's bull.
who gets into gaming
It's
to do
so
that?
ridiculous.
Like, how do you do that? Like the love we
I don't
have
know.
for
I didn't
gaming,
know
how
that.
would you do that? I don't get it.
Yeah, because they're clowns, bro.
Yeah,
They're
they
clowns.
are. I couldn't
And
hate on a
they
game
annoy
like
me.
that. And like I'm a Xbox preferer, right? I prefer Xbox, but you're never going to see me just hating on a PlayStation game because it's PlayStation.
Unless it's really bad.
Oh.
Unless it's bad. If it's bad, I'm
Yeah.
going to shit on it. Look at Forspoken. That's
You're
not
gonna
a
do the same
PlayStation
for
game, but
Xbox.
it's
It's
exclusive to
really bad.
PlayStation. I shit on it because it was bad. It was a bad
it was
game to
bad.
me. Yeah, so, I don't know. I just don't get how people do it, man. The lack of integrity is astonishing. But listen, we got to get out of here, folks. I have to
Yeah.
really get out of here. I want to thank
I'm sorry.
everybody. Oh no, you're all good. It was a good discussion. I want to thank everybody for being here with us
Hey,
tonight.
man.
And I think our guest, most importantly, Aaron left us a while ago. Again, all the guests are
Yeah, well, it's
Twitter
tomorrow
info.
where he's at. So
Right, it's Tomorrowland for Aaron now. But all the guest info are inside the description to meet them on Twitter, if to follow them, if you all would care to do so. And let's get everybody signed out of here. So we'll start with you, Doc. Where can people find you, and what will you be up to? What life-saving procedure will you be performing soon, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I'll be at your local emergency room intubating COVID-positive patients, so that's definitely coming. Unfortunately, we got a big surge. Outside of that, you can find me on Twitter at Alexander Tyler. Just at Alexander Tyler. I've got a YouTube channel that is not live yet, but more on that. And, Infinite, maybe you and I can talk about that some in the not too distant future.
Absolutely.
But anyway, that's kind of where I am. And, look forward to interacting with you guys. You guys have been awesome today.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for joining us. And our other brother, C Money.
C Money.
C Money.
Yes.
Mario Kart
Guys,
Madman.
Mario Kart Madman on YouTube. Yes, absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for having me again. I love rocking on the show. It's so fun. Gamer, it was cool to meet you and rock with you. So appreciate you being here. That was awesome. As far as I'm concerned, on Twitter, you can follow me at CMoney4Ever, the number 4 ever. So you can follow me there. And then on YouTube, we are Mario Kart Madman. You see it if you see one of my things on the chat. You see Mario Kart Madman. That's our channel. Even though it says Mario Kart Madman, it's not a Nintendo focused channel. We talk about all types of gaming from all platforms and music. I'm not music. That's a lie. Movies and anime. So we cover a lot of different stuff.
Talk about the other CMA, the Country Music Awards.
I'm gonna love you forever.
So we have a podcast every Saturday called On Point, the gaming newscast, which is with me, my wife, who's in the chat right now, Doodle, and our eldest son, Madman. And we do that show, and it's a long show. We have been increasing the size of it, not knowing how, but it happens. But we cover, the biggest chunk of it is all like the biggest gaming news of the week. We talk a lot about that stuff, and then we dive into, the hottest anime news, and then the hottest movie, TV news going on. So, we spend a lot of time. It's fun. We bug out. We have a good time. We love having the chat involved. So definitely come by and be a part of our story when we're chatting, because it's fun times.
Absolutely.
We also have, and I'll be probably next week out. We'll announce it probably on Boom Show, but we do have a couple of new shows that are going to be happening, because the thing about our Saturday show is that there is no set time for it, because we're very busy and it's very difficult to kind of find a time. So it'll always happen on Saturday, but we don't know exactly what time. So if you come by and subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we're going live. But the other 2 shows we're planning are going to be set shows. So we'll have an exact date and time that we do them. And it's pretty cool. They're both going to be shows with me and Doodle, and a surprise. So we'll announce that next week 100%. But guys, if you guys can come by, take a look, we appreciate it. We're close to 11,000 subscribers, so if you guys can come by, show us some love, come hang with us, it'll be dope. Aside from that, thank you, Annie and Umbra.
Absolutely.
For having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here with us again,
brother.
And I have put his in the chat. I put your channel there, so you all can go there to subscribe to our brother here, if you feel so inclined, and help him get those numbers up. And thank you for being here with us, though, bro. And Daniel, last but not least, is my co-host. What will you be up to, brother, and where can people find you?
Well, this week I'm gonna be watching a bunch of AEW wrestling, because there's a big pay-per-view this weekend.
Oh, nice.
All In is gonna be the biggest by ticket sales, is gonna be the largest wrestling event of all time.
Really?
They've already pre-sold more than has ever been sold before.
More than WWE?
Yeah, it's in Wembley Stadium over in London. It's like the
Wow.
biggest stadium that's ever held one, and they sold it out.
So speaking of wrestling, by the way,
yeah.
Bray Wyatt, I heard he passed away.
Yeah, I just watched a video a minute ago while you guys were talking, and I'm literally crying right now.
Oh man,
He was one of my favorite wrestlers.
Only 36 years old.
He was
right?
36 years old. We don't know
Oh
what
my
happened
God,
to him.
really?
Yeah,
He suffered a lot with depression and stuff, so I'm hoping that it wasn't that.
I hope
that
not either.
sucks.
But it's genuinely heartbreaking.
That's sad, man.
Yeah,
From what I read, it said something about a life-threating illness he had or something. That's what they said.
Yeah,
he had COVID.
He's had problems with that in the
Mm.
past. We don't know what specifically it was, but he's had to take time off or something like that before. But even with that, all of the reports are also saying that it was really surprising and people weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
So
I'm really upset about it. I'm like really genuinely upset about it.
Yeah.
I got a piece of information about that actually, because this was actually just released on Twitter from a spokesperson for the family. So hold on a second. This says that I was given permission to reveal that earlier this year, Wyndham Rotunda Bray Wyatt got COVID that exacerbated a heart issue.
Yeah.
There was a lot of positive progress towards a return and his recovery. Unfortunately, today he suffered a heart attack and passed away.
Wow.
I encourage those reading to respect the family's privacy if at all possible,
Yeah.
but his loved ones wanted some details clarified. So, unfortunately, and the person, it's let's see, Sean Ross Sapp,
Sean Ross Sapp from
Fightful.com.
Fightful,
So he was the one that posted it. So it's not like some bogus person that just kind of came out there. That came directly from the family. And ultimately, it's like. I think what a lot of people don't realize, and I'm sorry, I'm going to get on a very small soapbox here. What people don't realize about COVID is that it's not really an upper respiratory tract infection like the flu, right? What it does is, and we're still figuring out more stuff, but the bottom line is it causes a lot of inflammation in your blood vessels. That's why you get an increase in blood clots. That's why you get an increase in heart attacks. That's why you get an increase in strokes. And if you've noticed, you're seeing younger and younger people who are having these diseases that traditionally were kind of reserved for the older generations. So, I'm not going to try to tell you what to do other than say masks work, use them, get the vaccines. If you got questions, hit me up on Twitter. Happy to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
I've done it multiple times in various Twitter spaces and things like that. And it's all no BS. I'm not going to blow any smoke up your skirt. And at the end of the day, you make the decision that's right for you and your family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But
rest
yeah.
in peace, Bray. I just want to say, but
He's genuinely one of the best characters in wrestling of all time between Bray Wyatt and The Fiend. He an extremely talented in-ring performer. It's
pretty heartbreaking, man. That's too young.
it really is. And he has a lot of
Wow.
kids too.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw him with his family, taking photos with fans and stuff like that. Even though he had his family with him, I saw all of that. But that's too bad, man. Rest in peace to Bray Wyatt, and condolences to his family. But Danny, did you have any other thing you wanted to add as far as what you'll be up to?
You can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McGee or at my personal YouTube channel of Daniel McGee. I'm working on a bunch of stuff, but I don't really feel like talking about it right now.
I hear you. But thank you all in the chat for being here with us. If you all have not done so, please hit the like button for us. And if you are new here, hit the subscribe. We're going to sign up out of here, and you all can catch us here again Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. You'll find myself and Daniel and C Money now on Tuesdays at Xbox Factor podcast with Boom.
Yes, sir.
12 o'clock Eastern. And of course, check out C Money's podcast as well, him and the family. I posted their link in the chat earlier, so you can find it there. And thank everybody for being here. I'm going to be back on finish up Atlas Fallen here. I'm dead at the end, but I just haven't had time to get back and finish it. But I'm literally at the end of the game and just wrapping up, getting all the achievements. But yep, we'll get out of here, guys. I will talk with you all later. You know where to find me on Twitter, and if you don't, you will find it in the description along with everybody else's. We will see you guys later.
Thanks.
Thanks.